Hello, my darlings. How are we today? Is it good that we've had a balance patch? It's probably good. Not necessarily great. I have spent like the last 2 days arguing with people about rules on the internet. Of course I'm right. I have to be right. But the thing is, they say things. They say things that are not correct. Why do they do this to me? Eldar need more nerfs? They probably do. Yeah, they're still far too viable. Hello, Train Master, you are indeed right on time. Why isn't my thing live? There it is. Okay, good. It's live. Hello. My brother mourns the lack of improvements of AdMech. Yeah, we're going to be talking about all the factions. Well, at least all the factions that weren't in my video where I talked about all of the stuff. It was meant to be all of the stuff. What I probably should have done was, here's Battle Sisters and Genestealer Cult, and we'll only talk about other factions if there's an interesting rule change. I didn't need to talk about Space Marines in that. But I did. They have a new combat patrol. If you think the new combat patrol for AdMech is good, that's okay. The Tyranids are getting a new combat patrol, which is all the Ryans, plus like a Lictor and a Neurolictor, so that can be quite nice. The Space Marines got a new combat patrol, which is Stealthy Boys. Quite a few Stealthy Boys. Oh, it was sarcasm on the new combat patrol. Okay, good. It's hard to understand text messages for sarcasm. Good evening, nice catching you live for once. Excellent to have you, Agrel Tal, who is definitely not a character from the 30k Horus Heresy series. That's Argel Tarn. Totally different person. Totally different. Do we have anyone who's come from Paul's chat? Because Paul, who is bad at stuff, is usually live about this time. So I wondered if there was anyone who's like, oh, I was going to meet Paul, but Paul's not here, so I'll come listen to you talk about all the changes and things. Distinctive. Legally distinctive. It's a legally distinctive name. Ooh, hello. On Saturday, you managed to win tournament with sisters. Aw, thank you. I wonder if you win money at tournaments. I know you can get little trophies and like the occasional model and things, but that's nice. Thank you very much for the Czech money. I think it's Czech. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. From Germany. Okay. Oh, that's totally different. There's Mike in the orange, and then there's Martin in the slightly different color orange. This is fine. Great job, YouTube. Thank you. And now I know how much it is. Lovely. They could have added more stuff to the AdMech Deluxe. They probably could have. It's a vehicle of some kind. It doesn't have to be the crabby walker thing. It could be something else. It could have been the walkers, the chicken leg walkers. There's a new 30k Sentinel, which is a chicken walker but shorter. I thought it was just a meme joke that I was seeing on like Twitter. It was like, oh yeah, there's the 5'11" version of the Sentinel. But no, it's a real thing. It's just a small Sentinel. And it looks very much like the walkers they have in Clone Wars, like that Star Wars thing, before they get to the more chickeny walker of the 4, 5, and 6. Those ones, the ATSTs. Yeah. What do I think will be in the new Sisters Combat Patrol? Probably not much different. If there's some kind of new unit, maybe that unit. There's probably just going to be a new character that we get. So a new character and a slight variation on what we already have. They probably want to just keep getting rid of all of the monopose stuff, though. If it's some kind of real change, something that is like, oh, we moved away from the monopose stuff, we're giving you actual kits, like the Genestealer Cult as actual model kits, then I might be like, yeah, this is good. We should probably buy this as a better starting point. It'll be whatever isn't selling super well. So if the Sacrosancts are not selling well, put the Sacrosancts in the combat patrol. The Repentia that's monopose or not monopose, I don't know, maybe them. We'll have to see. It'll be dependent entirely on stock rather than what's good in the lore and the meta and stuff. Oh, Yeah, so Dark Eldar's doing well. What did we think of the Dark Eldar new detachment? I like it. I think it's fun. Yes, good reminder to buy the Gene Stealer Color Combat Troll while you can. Yeah, you'll need this, the Triumph. Yeah, I would recommend maybe kit bashing your own Triumph. It's a expensive model. It's kind of a faff to paint all the bits, including the base, which is special, which you're not going to see it anyway because you put the models on top of the base, so you can't see the fancy patterns and stuff. So I would just use a, was it 100mm oval? One of them, put 6 sisters on it, and that's probably going to be cheaper and better looking. You could put 7 sisters and one of them just has a skull as a head. That could work. You could make like an attendant for the saint, and the saint is like a corpse. Why would you choose the Triumph over Celestine? I prefer Celestine. I also prefer Celestine. I also like Ephriel Stern. Junith, I'm like, nah, maybe. There's some lists where she works really well, including vehicle lists. I would maybe have Junith there because you can fit the pulpit inside a transport. It is an infantry model, so you can absolutely put them inside an exorcist, not an exorcist, they don't transport people, an immolator or a rhino. That works. Maybe it just flies along at the top. Kieran's just doing the Tau thing is a bit now. I've noticed. I have noticed. Yeah, it's, oh, yeah. Group, team up, rock band. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm tempted to do another video on the Triumph of St. Catherine. Tempted. It's going to be after some other videos, because I know I said the next videos I'm going to do, and I don't want to disappoint, are going to be 1,000 points of Battle Sisters and a really big Gene Stealer Cult video. Like, really big. Like, multi-hour long Gene Stealer Cult video. We'll have to see. It depends if I get more of a Gene Stealer Cult itch or a Battle Sisters itch. I've gotten rid of the Dark Eldar itch. I did the one video on the Dark Eldar, which is fine. And it's also a nice little test thing for when we get the codex for the Battle Sisters and Gene Stealer Cult. Does it work in this kind of style to have, here's this detachment, let's compare it to our existing detachment? Yeah. And I'll probably do, oh, I don't know, here's the thing that's released. Oh, look, the codex is out. Okay, here's a quickfire thing of all the different rules. Then we'll look at them in more detail. Because getting more videos about the Sisters and Gene Stealer Cult are probably what people are going to want, rather than waiting 2 weeks after the codex is out and getting a really detailed one. Probably that. I need to stay relevant. That's the problem. I can feel it slipping away. It's been quite difficult to spend so much time in the last couple of days going around all of the different YouTubers and saying, ha ha ha, your stuff got nerfed. Oh, I need to send that to Proxy Hammer as well. Ha ha, you got nerfed. Oh, poor lad. It may be some people's new first time. I have quite a few of you here. If you could type 1 in the chat if this is like your first time seeing me live ever. Because we occasionally get those people. It's always someone's first time. Yeah, see, definitely got new people here. Loads of new people. 2, because you've been to at least 1 before. Wonderful. Good. I mean, it's going to be a pretty general live stream. I'll just be chatting about all of the new stuff from the points and the balance patch and the Dark Eldar detachment and the rules commentary change, and the thing that everyone seems to have missed, a lot of the indexes have been updated. So if you go to the Warhammer community website, check on downloads, check on Warhammer 40,000, you'll see that the indexes all have a lot of, like, it shows today's date, or like the 30th of January as the date, because they've updated things in there. So you'll notice that. Yeah, you want to make a Flappy Hive fleet. Yeah, I'm thinking GW when Shrikes. I'm very tempted to, if I can get it, get the Hachette magazine, which has the Space Marine Captain in Terminator armor and the Captain Flappy Bat. And then I can just make multiple of them. And so there you go, we've got 3 of them. That's a unit of Shrikes when Shrikes come out and not as a Forge World unit and actually come back in 40k, because they were in 40k as a Forge World unit that was expensive to buy, which was just a set of wings on a Tyranid warrior. Yeah. If everyone could get a new detachment as a stealth drop, that could be a treat. Yeah, I mean, it's established that it can be done. Dark Eldar players are happy. I like the new detachment. Different ways to play. I don't know if it'll be overall better because the new points are very much favoring the Dark Eldar, whatever you pick. So it's nicer. I like it. Transports, fast things. It suits me. Witches being able to get into combat. Yeah, it's good. Can you proxy Necrons as Tomb Kings? Yes, yes, you can. You just need a square base and rank them up. There you go, it's done. It absolutely can be done. Warhammer Fantasy is quite forgiving for that, except what it isn't forgiving on is you need at least 100 models for like a 1,000 point game. Assuming you're having, well, 2,000 point game is 100 models. That's a lot to get onto the table. Yeah. I wish they did more rules changes instead of points. I don't know. Oh yeah, I very much agree that the convoluted canonist equipment thing should just be dropped. I hate that they've had that since 8th edition. It's really annoying. Yeah. Tomb Kings just with Gauss spears. Figuring out the rules for Warhammer Fantasy has been a bit confusing. It's like, okay, if you kill people in the front rank, the ranks behind move forward, but they can't fight. So what happens if you kill the members of the command squad? Like those 3 guys that are in the unit of 5 at the front. The banner and the musician get killed, drop their stuff, and someone else steps forward and picks up the new thing. The champion of the unit is essentially a character and you have to target them separately. Yeah, it's taking us a while to like figure it out. Yeah. I think that Games Workshop for 40k stuff, I usually prefer points more than new rules because look at all the new rules we've got. Oh, we've got the rules commentary that's changed a bunch of things. We've got all of the index rules, so profiles have changed as well. Then we've got the points. Then we have the new detachment. It's a lot. It really is a lot. I could have done 5 or 6 videos out of the stuff we got. I would have much rather they change things much slower, bit at a time. And I like points as just a change. So the next time we get a balance kind of update will be April, expected. And that's when it'll be just points. Oh, the resin on the plastic was a pain. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing some gluing of the older Tyranid models from like 3rd edition. That is plastic attached to metal. That is even worse, random task. So much worse. Yeah. Everyone except Space Marines and NIDS has a new PDF? Pretty much. Yeah. For some of them, it's like the Genestealer Occult. There's a minor change for the Genestealer Occult. The Nexus got a word update. So when it says, oh yeah, you can move a cult ambush marker up to D6 inches, it now specifies one of your cult ambush markers. So if you are playing in a mirror match, you can't move an enemy one. I don't think anyone was playing that way anyway, but that's a rules clarification that's now on the Cult Nexus in the Genestealer Cult detachment. Also, they fixed it so that we no longer have 100 datasheets, each datasheet appearing like twice. It's now just the once for each of them. So there has been a lot of documents to look through. Yeah. Those old Zodothropes with the gigantic heads and the teeny bodies. Oh yeah. Or you can go back to the 2nd edition Zodothrope, which looks a bit more like the current Neuro Tyrant, but instead of the tentacles, it has claws. It looks like you took a Carnifex's body and stuck a massive brain on the front. The Tau Commander with the metal weapons on a plastic model. That was unpleasant. Girin, you play Tau. Do you remember that? Oh, Dr. Krankenfoof would absolutely be saying, I think it doesn't specify that I can't move your marker, so I think I will be moving your cult ambush marker. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh. Girin doesn't know about plugging metal models together with plastic weapons or vice versa. Oh dear. We have people in Germany. Where else have we got people from around the world at this time? I assume the UK. I assume that. Oh, Lisa had the Tau Commander with the metal heads and the guns and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I like the 2nd edition models. They're good. They're good. Oh, we have USA. We have Vancouver, Canada. We have Nevada, which I think is USA. We have Greece. Greece. Good. Good. Okay. Awesome. So we're getting mostly United States and then Europe. No one from England. Albion. There's an Albion person. Yeah. Chile, the Tea Land. There we go. There's 2 people from the Tea Land. Which state is PA USA? Some of them don't sound real. When I hear all the American states, they just don't sound like they're real places, some of them. Like, I'll go north and get your coat on. No, North Dakota. That's a different thing. That's definitely a place. Mississippi, or is that's a river, not a place? Or is it a state? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there was one of them had a funny name, and I can't remember what it was. I was going to make a joke about it. It was in the American state. Kentucky is both chicken and a place. We've learned this. Ohio doesn't exist and definitely won't hurt you. Yeah. Is Chicago in Ohio, or is Chicago in its own place? No idea. Oh, 80 miles north of me. That must be in Scotland. Excellent. They do it on all the I'm gonna say Lord of the Rings live stream. Games Workshop. Chicago's Illinois. I remember it from playing the Resistance Fall of Man games, because the first ones were set in England, and it was like, oh, we're in a pretty horrible place. Yeah, this looks like Grimsby. Where we're going? Oh, well, that's Manchester Cathedral. So it's like, oh, yeah, this is Manchester. Like, I can follow all that. Then it was like, we're now in generic bombed out city streets. And it turns out it wasn't meant to be bombed out. It was just what that part of Chicago, Illinois looked like. That's where Chicago gets quarantined, up there. Okay. Good. Oh, dear. Yeah, the Games Workshop stuff, they're always like, hey, where's everyone from? And then they're like, well, some countries. Oh, boy. That sounds about right for Chicago. Good. Oh, what did we get? Oh, yeah. Now, I talked quite a bit about the Chaos Space Marine stuff in my video, which was 2 days ago. What I didn't think... bring it up. Yeah. Something I've since noticed that a lot of people haven't noticed. So, they changed the way Profane Zeal works. It used to be that, oh, if you were a Chaos Undivided unit, then you would reroll all hit rolls and reroll all wound rolls. You can see there the effect. It says, until the end of the phase, each time a model makes an attack, you can reroll the wound roll. Can anyone notice what else is different about Profane Zeal compared to before? Now, you may have to have some knowledge of the Chaos Space Marine different detachment and how all the stratagems used to work in there. But do you know what else is different? The shoot and fight? No, that was already there. They could do it in the shooting phase or the combat phase. Oh, no one's noticed. Oh, we still haven't laughed at Eldar yet. That's coming up. That's definitely coming up. Yes, Tyler, you've got it. Yeah, Crow Rooster's got it. It has to be Chaos Undivided. So all of the other Chaos Space Marine stratagems, they're all like, okay, you can have stealth if you're any kind of Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine marked unit, but if you are a Mark of Nurgle, then you are untargetable at 18 inches. This Profane Zeal doesn't have that use for other units. It can only be used on a Chaos Undivided unit. So you can't put this on like Khorne Berserkers or Legionaries with a Mark of Khorne. Yeah. Undivided Marines can't enter a Rhino with the wrong keyword, but Junith, oh yeah, she's getting in there. Absolutely. Yeah, she's flying along behind it. So that's a big change to Profane Zeal. They're moving away from this is viable for everyone to you're going to be much more locked into very specific, very particular things. Yeah, it's a double nerf for Zeal, absolutely. Yeah. So there's been quite a lot of like double nerfs and things like, oh yeah, like multiple people had a way of, oh, we can stop this being as bad by using like one particular thing. And then they've gone with, okay, everyone's ideas are valid, and because everyone's ideas are valid, then we're going to use all of them. And that's what's happened. There's a vibe check before you can enter the Rhino. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, oh no, the Chaos Bros, yeah. So the Chosen have had that change for them. It's going to load. Is the chat box going to load? There it is. The chat box loaded. They went up in points. Yeah, Undivided isn't as good. But that's how I like my Chaos Chosen. When other people at the start of the edition were going, oh, it's got to be Terminators with Abaddon, I was going, nope. I'm sticking with Chaos Lord and Chosen, and we'll see how we do. And they did really well, because they did really well in 9th edition. They got their codex quite late in 9th edition, so it took a while, because otherwise we were playing quite a lot of 9th edition as Chaos Space Marines by having Chaos Marines with 1 wound. This was not fun. Because 8th edition, the Primaris Marines for Space Marines had 2 wounds. The regular Marines, like Tactical Marines, Devastating Marines, they had 1 wound, and Chaos Space Marines all had 1 wound. Then, when it came to 9th edition, suddenly the Tactical Marines, the Devastating Marines, the Assault Marines, they got 2 wounds, whereas the Chaos Space Marines stayed on 1 wound until they got towards, like, the end of the edition, and then finally there was more stuff. And they've been very similar to how they are at the end of 9th edition compared to 10th edition, so there's that. How do we fight Necrons as sisters? I have a video out about fighting Necrons. It is mainly just fighting the Tide of Steel, when they're just using a lot of infantry. I haven't played against the other Necron detachment-y things. I'm hoping to see... It's probably just going to be the same one this weekend, but with the Codex. There's a Crusade campaign ongoing, where my sisters are fighting Necrons, so we'll get through to them. I don't know if it'll end up being a video in itself, because there are a lot of different ways to play Necrons. I may be fighting against Destroyers first, because they have a lot of Destroyers. Yeah. Best 9th edition Codex cover was the Chaos Marines. It was a pretty good Codex cover. Of the 9th edition ones, I'm trying to think which ones were good. I didn't like the Imperial Guard one. I didn't like the Sisters one. Didn't like the Tau one. Yeah. I don't understand how or why Primaris Marines get separate data sheets. For a lot of things, they've been merged together, like a Primaris Lieutenant and a regular Space Marine Lieutenant, and now together, they've lost some Primaris equipment, they've lost some of the Firstborn equipment, like combi weapons can't be taken unless you go for Legends, then you can. So they have been merged in a lot of places. Thinking you're starting Chaos Space Marines because you love Red Corsairs. But you're actually very close to starting 2,000 points of Dark Angels. Yeah, see, there's a very good Traitor Legion. You just pick the Dark Angels as your Traitor Legion, and there you go. Chaos Space Marines achieved. Yeah. You should probably focus on Dark Angels. I mean, see what their detachment is like. Their points for Dark Angel players have been going, I don't know. It's okay. It seems to work. Oh yeah, Cypher is the Warlord, obviously. Yeah, that's very Dark Angels-y. And if you have the new Silent people who definitely aren't fallen, but their armor is black, like they're from the Horus Heresy, and they won't say where they've been, and they came along with the Lion, who's been walking around collecting fallen, who are still friendly. Yeah, these are definitely not fallen. I think the Dark Angels just need a new shtick. Because pursuing the fallen constantly, it doesn't suit them. It's a pain. They really need to stop that. Night Lord, I am also wondering if we're going to see White Dwarf detachments. Because we did in previous editions, and they were okay, quite good. Some of them were overpowered, some of them were fun. The Necron version of the Canoptek Court that was in the White Dwarf, that was just a fun one. Now we have it in the 10th edition Codex, and it's a bit more powerful. Whereas they've gone the other way with Crusher Stampede. That came out in the White Dwarf, and it was like, this is too much. Every monster getting a 5-up feel no pain? No way. No, that's too much. But then you have it in the 10th edition Codex, and it's like, we need to make this so weak. Like, so weak. Yeah, so we may see them. It's going to be a nice idea that you can balance factions. We're not going to get it probably with, like, Sisters, or Tau, or Genestealer Cult. You know, those armies that are going to have codexes out soon. Orcs are also getting their codex pretty soon. I am really hoping that the Sisters and the Genestealer Cult Codex doesn't come out in like the same week. Otherwise, that's going to be a really painful week for me. It's like, time to stay up forever just making videos to explain how everything works. Hmm. Somewhere in the region of 6,000 points of Dark Angels. Lisa, you have a lot of models. I've seen so many of your models in the Discord. Yeah, you've got, I don't know, too much, but you've got quite a lot. Then again, I can't talk about how much I've got. I've got like 10 different armies across Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar, and 40k. Yeah, yeah. Hi, dude. Hi, Herbert. Wanted to thank you for your work and advice, particularly on Genestealer Cult. You are very welcome. I will be having a very big video on Genestealer Cult coming out. I don't want to say in the coming week, but soon. It is like one of the 2 next videos I'm working on. The Dark Angels got a load of point adjustments. The Dark Angels did, but then when their codex is out like on shelves and available to buy separately, that's when we're going to see a big switch and it's like, oh yeah, the codexes has their own points, but then a few weeks after that, Games Workshop will be releasing another PDF with the points in them, and that will show all of the new points for the Dark Angels, counteracting whatever you get in the codex. So the codex is going to be not correct, apart from like for a week when maybe you can use it, but you shouldn't. But it's the only way to play some units. Going to be a very confusing time. So the codex rules will be valid for the edition, but the codex points will be valid for like a fortnight. And that's it. And now that I've said the word fortnight, YouTube should now push this to every 12-year-old in the vicinity. Oh, if you also like the stream, that helps. Thank you very much. Dark Angels need to focus back on their wings in the knighthood? Maybe. They have quite a few kind of helmety things that are looking a bit more knight-like. They're okay. They could go even further back and focus more on spirit totems and feathers, but they don't seem to be doing that. They've gone, everything needs to look like it's from England. Reclaim everything since it's a Games Workshop product. Yeah. It wasn't the Dark Angels, it was the Fallen. No, it wasn't the Fallen, it was Alfarius. Hello, Chris Goblin. Okay, good. Fun name. Hey, Christian, wanted to say thanks for the content. Start to Sister Battle Army after not playing in 9th. Videos are invaluable. Thank you very much. I saw that today Simply Warhammer, who does like 3-minute videos on a faction, he had a go at Battle Sisters today. I left a very long comment, and there was like, you are wrong about all of the following things. And he was like, thank you. I'm just getting into it. No. If the Genestealer Cult Codex and the Battle Sisters Codex drops at exactly the same day, that'll be too much. You excited to play your next game, White? Good. I would say start small. Go for a small-ish game. 500 points. Use the Combat Patrol rules, which are free to download. Even just the Combat Patrol missions, which are free to download from the Games Workshop Warhammer community website. You go there, you click on the Downloads tab, you click on Warhammer 40,000, and it's near the bottom. And then you get like PDFs, many PDFs, and one of them is the Combat Patrol rules and missions. Sisters and Cult... nearly said a word wrong. The Sisters and the Cult should be released a month apart. I am hoping so. I am hoping that there is at least some distance between the two. Because we have quite a bit of distance between the Dark Angels and the Orcs and the Tau. They should be separate, unless we're going to see another... Oh, that'd be cool. Having a little crusade thing or matchup of like Orcs versus Tau. Because the Orcs were the first faction that the Tau really encountered that they couldn't fight. No, that they couldn't assimilate using friendship and fighting. They had to just fight them. Yeah. So that could be good. Gazgul versus Farsight. I'm kind of sick of the Tau lore. That also needs to advance and just have a civil war already. What's the hold up? Just get on with it. Have Farsight fight the Ethereals. It just keeps being the same old plot. There's a problem. The Tau need help. The Farsight enclaves turn up. He leaves. The Ethereals are like, that man's a heretic. Don't listen to him. Thanks for coming. Shows the greater good works and not this working for independent things. Yeah. Any hopes for what the Genestealer Cult model will be when the new codex comes? Well, it's probably going to be another character. I was thinking a better patriarch, but considering the Patriarch model isn't too old, I mean, none of the Genestealer cult stuff is that old, but a better, bigger Patriarch, maybe? That wouldn't be the worst idea. What about a bus, but with guns out the side? No, that's a cult truck. What about a cult limo with guns out the side? That would be pretty cool. I know we have the cult truck, but we could go for more limo-y things. People would like a limo. Yeah. Jack, also thank you a lot, Mr. Vampire. I've been basing all my decisions off of your advice. Okay, that's a lot of power. Thank you very much. Oh, Lisa, you got your Basilisk. Yeah, you got your Repair Basilisk to work on. Oh, Fortnite Warhammer crossover, don't tempt them. They'll do it. They'll probably announce like a whole new edition through Fortnite, like they announced a new Star Wars movie through Fortnite. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Jack having a friend starting a Warhammer store or a store that sells Warhammer. Yes, get them discounts. If you wanted other discounts, in the description is a link to several places that sell Warhammer at a discounted price. And if you use the ones that are in the description, then some of the money that you spend goes to me at no extra cost to you. So you get cheaper models and also support me to have food. Right now I'm collecting Eldari tiers. I'll be collecting them for this month, and then I can go to like the shops and exchange Eldari tiers for food. That's the plan. Oh, Wenbin Tan, you finally hunted down 30 hardcore flagellants, and then they went up points. Yep, everyone's going to go Repentia. Well, not everyone. They're still really good. Hardcore flagellants are good. They still work well with a preacher. Yep, that's a good combo still. Paying £35 for a new... Oh, is that the Crusade book? No, it won't be the Crusade book. That'll be the new Codex. Yeah, yeah. How could I play my first game of Warhammer with sisters? I would say have like 2 or 3 units, one with a character, and then put the character in a Battle Sister squad and just try and learn those. And for a couple of games, go with that. 500 points, 400 points, something around that level, just to understand the basics of the rules and the basics of your units. I wouldn't bother with any of the secondary missions cards. I would probably still have like 3 objectives on the board, whatever the Combat Patrol mission has. Go with that level of objectives and then learn slowly from there. The Combat Patrol is a pretty good way to start learning. Chaos Space Marines are probably going to come last because there's no teased model silhouettes for them. Maybe. Maybe. Imperial Guard are also going to be quite a while. Oh, Genestealer Cult Matriarch. Oh, that would be a twist. Yeah. Big Drill. Bring back Big Drill. But better? Rumors are that the new Genestealer Cult model will just be yet another character. I don't know what it'll be. Which army am I going to play these days? I'm probably still going to keep playing Genestealer Cult because there was no change to the super heavies and things for the Astra Militarum. I can keep my list with a Shadow Sword in it. I thought the Shadow Sword maybe would have gone up in points, but it didn't, which is great. So I can keep having Shadow Sword plus Sentinel fitting exactly the 500 points maximum for the Brood Brothers. Cult Bus, firing deck 20. That'd be good. Just fit 2 whole squads in there and drive forward. Something that's a bit more like civilian vehicles. We can explore the civilian side of Warhammer 40,000 and the Imperium through the Genestealer Cult. It's a really good option, and they need to go more for it. I'd like Zotes in the Tau Empire. There are... Oh, hello. Welcome to the channel. There are still Zote rules. They are not the easiest to find, but they are in the download somewhere. One of the documents has it. Let me see if I can remember where it is by looking. Forge World. No idea. It's somewhere. Somewhere in there, there are rules for Zotes, and they can be taken in the Tau Empire. And they can also be taken by, Tyranids, again, as they were originally in 2nd edition. Cult should learn a thing or two from the Orcs. Some Mech Boy, Cult Engineer cooperation could be beneficial. Perhaps. We could see some more weirder species. We could see like a cluster of like little psychic dudes. They might be like, these are gene stealer cults that are Eldar or Psychers or Magi in training. That could work. Typically, when you play as sisters, you get tabled at round 3. Do you have any tips for building a sisters list that's good while also bringing able to models that I like without being too mechanized? I would put Hospitalers in many units, but dying is something the sisters will do. Yeah, missionary with Repentia Wen, that would be nice. Hospitalers are a good way to keep your units alive. Surprisingly good. Yes. The flagellants... Arco-flagellants are simply... Well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they do have more staying power than Repentia. I have a video on my channel comparing the Repentia to Arco-flagellants and why I like Repentia better. So that's a thing to check out. You started your army with the Sanctorum Guard playset. Oh, that was a good one from Christmas 2022, I think. So you're pleased to see the Paragon suits get a good points drop? Yes, it means you can take the Paragon war suits without having to have Morwen Val. It's not as enforced. Yeah. When Bintan, you're running a modified version of my 1000 points mechanized sisters. That's good. Wonderful. That one's quite a popular one. It gets shared quite a bit. And, you know, share it more. Being like, here's how you do all the tanks as sisters, so we're not a weird infantry horde. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The points have gone different for the Space Marines compared to Battle Sisters. Have you seen now that 5 heavy intercessors are about the same points as 10 Battle Sisters? So the heavy intercessors are 3 wounds each and toughness 6. So that's 15 wounds for the same price as Battle Sisters, which is 10 wounds at toughness 3. This doesn't seem right, but that's how it is. If we had them, like really heavy intercessors, but for Battle Sisters, I don't know, we could call them Celestians. There's a crazy idea. Then that would be a nice idea. They defend objectives or defend characters, something like that. Order Prenatus when? Just an Order Prenatus unit, because otherwise all we have is one person from the System Novitiates box looks Ordo Prenatus, but they only have special rules for that in the Kill Team games. Forklift. Oh, we could bring back the Sentinel with the forklift. I think that's already in Legends, but we could have that as a cult vehicle. Just there we are. It's the cult's own thing. We use this. It's a civilian vehicle. Get off at Imperial Guard. There's no reason for you to have it. It is definitely not Ripley's warrior suit, which is not a warrior suit, Ripley's lifter from the Alien films, but it would be. Hey, Sindri. Hello. You made Necron since last edition, but 10th edition got it cheap. Oh, yeah. From 9th edition to 10th edition, the Necron models are really cheap. That's part of the reason why Admech, who just got the Codex alongside them, are not being played as much of Necrons. Also, the Necrons are easy to paint. Cheaper models, you don't need as many of them to start an army. They're much more supported. They have a more fun range that's diverse. Whereas the Admech, here's Weird Boy, here's... Not Weird Boy, but I don't mean the orc Weird Boy. I mean, it's a boy that's weird with loads of cables and stuff. And then you have odd vehicles. But the Necrons look much more distinct. Admech, I don't think they should have ever been a faction themselves. But that's a bit later on. We'll talk about that. But yeah, all these weird things where it's like, here's a splinter faction. We're just going to take this one tech priest model for the Imperial Guard and make a whole faction out of that. I don't think they're different enough. So all the people that are like, oh, I really want to see Cursed Admech, Chaos Admech, what are they called? Dark Mechanicus. I don't think they would sell very well because regular Admech is not selling particularly well compared to a lot of other things. Yeah, I mean, one way of learning sisters and other things is just do a squad by squad. You could think of each model as its own individual unit and do it that way. But I would go with like a couple of units. My first game in 10th edition, I had an Exorcist, a Battle Sister squad with a Palatine and a Seraphim squad. That's all you need to learn the rules. That was enough for me. I think that came to about 400 points. 150, 250, 300. Yeah, about 400 points. So that's a good way to start. And then you learn all the different rules, putting characters in characters and units, the special rules that affect units compared to the special rules that affect just models. You've got to watch out for that on missionaries and preachers. Things like that, and using the Seraphim special rules and getting used to some of the stratagems. You could just skip stratagems and command points for your first few games anyway, until you want to add them in later. Imperial Guard fans, sad there's no change to the internal balance. Well, you got some internal balance between the Chimera and the Taurox. That's something. Cult Smart Car. Toughness of 1. That's a good one for Genestealer Cult. When they had the vehicle design rules, you could just have, hey, let's have a ground car. Generic car. We're going to battle on a car. We have Cult Truck. We've seen lots of paramilitary rebel groups, things like that in the real world using them. And they've used bikes. We've already got bikes. So it could work. Yeah. We need transports. Transports are very good in this edition, definitely. There's a lot of rules that help transports. Transports meaning you can move the transport, then get the unit out and then shoot. That's quite good. And with certain armies, like I think the Orcs have a stratagem, they maybe don't. Maybe they do. The Dark Eldar have a stratagem, so you can get out of your transport and then charge in the same turn. One thing I saw people saying is, oh, you could come from Deep Strike, drop your Raider in from Deep Strike, then get the Witches out, then charge with the Witches. But you can't do that because you need to have, under the rules of that stratagem, have made a normal move, and it specifies now in the rules commentary that coming from Deep Strike does not count as having made a normal move. That's why things like the Cult Ambush markers are not removed anymore by units that are deep striking onto our stuff. Yeah. We'll get the power loader. Cult Dreadnought is just the aliens loader. It works. Ripley's power loader is already in Grey Knights. That's fair. They got a little bit of a boost. Those Dread Knights, they're pretty good. Well, they're improved. I still don't like the models. I think they're awful models, have done since they came out. But it was Games Workshop's first idea of, maybe we need a knight. Something like that. So they had the Dread Knights, which weren't really knights, but yeah. Fix melters so they work on vehicles. That'd be nice. Yeah. Heretics getting killed with supporting Holy Organ church music. For the next Battle Sisters video, I'll have to remember this. I've got like copyright free organ music for the background, so that can go behind the video the whole time. So that should be fun. Hope Bloody Rolls get something like +1 inch on charge. Hopefully what they'll probably end up with is something very similar to what the Blood Angels got, with the bonus attacks and bonus strength on the charge. Not necessarily for all units though. Well, maybe for all units. A good way of running like a test Bloody Rose now is to just use the Sons of Sanguinius detachment. I have a video about potential Sisters of Battle detachments and how to run them right now. Things like, oh, if you're playing Sacred Rose, you might want to use the Space Marine detachment that's for the Imperial Fists. Try that out. Yeah. Kill Team is great from the unit from X niche faction. Yeah, the second edition Kill Team rules are not necessarily supporting all the different armies and things. So you can't, as far as I know, unless you can correct me, you can't play Deathwatch Kill Teams in Kill Team, which seems super odd to me. Yeah, ooh, that's the thing about Dark Mechanicus, the Demon Engines. Will we be able to have Demon Engines with the Dark Mechanicus? Do they get then taken away from the Chaos Space Marines and put there? Possibly. Then they're feeling a bit like the Chaos Dwarves in Warhammer Fantasy, where it's like, oh yeah, we have cannons in the, you know, your regular Chaos Warriors army, but they're also a Chaos Dwarf thing, and they don't really know where they fit. Yeah. AdMech doesn't sell well because they're so expensive. For it's a horde. It's a lot of money to get even a basic thing. Also, the win rate isn't really supporting. How will AdMech be coping with no changes to dataslate? The reason that AdMech and Necrons have got no changes to the points is roughly because they have a new codex out, so there's not enough data on just them with the codex. I mean, we can see pretty well that Necrons are doing great, AdMech are doing badly, but the changes to the other factions they have more concrete data for, so we'll see how the changes to other factions affect the Necrons and the AdMech. Then the Necrons can stay on their like 60% win rate, and the AdMech can go to like 43% win rate. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Should you build your Dominion squad normally or convert them into some characters? If it's a Dominion squad, that's just a Battle Sister squad models. Either way, I would get the characters some way. The Novitiate squad is the one that's best to turn it models into characters. That's what I would use that for. Would love a ground car? I'd love a ground car. Yeah. Would you take a transport variety of the Ridge Runner, like a Gene Stealer Cult Venom? That's not a bad idea. That would be the car. But I think we already have the Cult Truck, and the Rock Grinder can have a transport capacity as well, so I think we're relatively okay on transport, and the Gene Stealer Cult are not really a transport faction, like, oh, we need to get more transports in here. We have some, and the army is very much infantry-based. So I think we'll be okay. Keywords flip from Imperial to Chaos for the sake of allies and such for Dark Mechanicum. Yeah, that could be a way of just, here's evil Admech. And then, of course, you add in the couple of like Legends units they've got from Blackstone Fortress. That could work. That could work. Raiders can deep strike. As far as I know, the Raiders have the deep strike keyword. Let's have a look at Raiders. Not real space Raiders, regular Raiders. Raider, yes. A Raider has deep strike. Deadly Demise, D3, deep strike, firing deck 11. So you can deep strike with Raiders. Dread Knight's weakness is toughness 9. Toughness 9 versus toughness 10 is like night and day. Probably. It's quite a few things, like anything strength 5 or higher. Yeah, so your lower strength weapons are your strength 3 and strength 4. That's your common stuff. But I see that anything more than that. Melter weapons is a big change between strength 9 and 10. Yeah. Worst at everything, even worse than Paul, who's bad at stuff. Why do you think Games Workshop hates the Guard so much? Maybe because they had such a range of units and things that they're trying to then figure out how they can make just the one set of units work, and they're a horde, and hordes are just not selling well for them. Because you need to buy so many of them, and the people are turned off because there's so many people online, like myself, saying, don't buy horde units. Don't buy horde armies because it's going to cost you so much just to get into the game. So probably that. Maybe that. What detachment do you think the Gene Stealer Cult will get? Probably a detachment that's focused on vehicles, which maybe can be skewed towards my, like, Brood Brothers. But we'll see. We'll see. It may be just, here's a special rule that affects all vehicles in the army, not necessarily Gene Stealer Cult ones. Probably one that's a lot more the bikes focused. Yeah, bikes and vehicles, a bikes and vehicles one. I did do a video about the bikes and vehicles potential detachment, along with how you would run a mechanized kind of list. Something that's a lot of character focus and just hordes. Don't know how the rules would work for that. Then I don't know what they do for like the Admech version, the Rusted Claw. We could have more horde stuff. I'm trying to think of all the different cults they had as Gene Stealer Cult. Nope, nothing in particular is really coming for me right now. Whereas the Battle Sisters, they have a very different way of playing for each of the different detachments. So we'll have to see. Maybe we'll just get 4 detachments, which could be upsetting, but it may be all we get. Yeah, someone told me Melter should add to strength instead of damage, and I think that's cool. I think that's quite cool as well. Because damage, D6 is okay, D6 plus 2, but only at short range. It's not doing a lot. Black Templars are Grey Knights' most painful matchup? Yeah, quite a lot of strength 5 things there. And also a lot of infantry. Which is, you know, countered by... Because it's basically Space Marines against Space Marines. And you have a lot more Black Templar Space Marines compared to Grey Knight Space Marines. Guessing they drop Gene Stealer points to push sales on new models? I am also thinking that is one of the reasons. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully Bladed Cog come back as a detachment with Gene Stealer Cult. That is the detachment I have. I have Bladed Cog. We've got to get all our slightly mechanical dudes where we cross the machine, the human, and the alien to get the superior race. Oh, the Compendium book has Deathwatch Kill Team. That'll be where it is. Ah, yes. What? You meant the Novitiate. Yes, Novitiate Squad. I would build your Novitiate Squad as the characters. That's the best way to do it. Try as many walkers as you can with sisters. Good luck with that. Have war suits, have Morwen Val, have a lot of the Penitent Engines modifies. Yeah, that can be fun. That can be fun. That can be fun. Oh, you did say that random task. Yes, I remember. I remember it came up. That's right. That's right. The ad mecha are a pain to assemble. Yeah, Lisa wants more Brood Brothers optimization, even if it's a particular detachment that works better with them. That's what I would like, because there is the Hive Cult, which is very much all about the Brood Brothers and having their vehicles and being very much the Astra Militarum. Maybe if we can get more... These units are just, you know, Imperial Guard, but we have them. Built my first box's kill team and then proxy them as characters. That works. You need to have some spare 32mm base as well as one the 40 and one the 50. You don't. I wouldn't bother. Just stand them on top of another base. That's optional. Yeah. One dude now just has sustained hits. Oh, right. Just sustained hits everything on the Gaunt's Ghost. That's a mistake. Infinite shots. Interesting. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be sustained hits 1, but we never know. Dr. Krankenfoof says infinite hits. Yeah, Necrons win LVO and don't get a single nerf. Tower 45% win rate and get the Crisis Suits nerf. They may have been the only viable build. It was a very big thing for them. Breaches. Breaches are doing quite well. Breaches and the Devilfish. That works. That works. Yeah. First miniature was a Palatine. That's... I think that model had so much more potential. I really wanted to see it wielding a sword. Her whole thing is she has a sword. So carrying some rosary beads and a pistol didn't feel like a Palatine for me. So I would have just liked a sword. And if you get the Palatine model, I implore you to cut off the rosary beads or the pistol and put on a sword instead. Then in case the points change or the rules change for which kind of pistol are viable, then it doesn't matter. You've got rosary beads and a sword. You can say she has whatever kind of pistol you want. Yeah. Genestealer Cult will get motorbike attachment? Probably. Probably motorbikes plus some vehicles. Like the Ridge Runner plus the bikes. Something like that. I hope the Guard get less hoardy as well. I don't know how you'd make them more competitive because they are too... yeah. That's the problem with the Hordes. You need to make them fit the lore, but also you need to make it so you can actually buy and play the army. New vehicles for Genestealer Cult? Perhaps. Or they still need a good centerpiece model? They need a Patriarch that's viable as a, you know, an army commander. Because it's a Supreme Commander. You can just get one Patriarch. So maybe levels of Patriarch. That's something I considered before. Pure strains on hoverboards. Yeah. We're maybe getting a bit silly and people would do like a surf bro thing. Like, yeah, come to the beach. We have surfboards and... Pure strain Genestealers. What else do you want? Yeah, you need a Magified Diagologus Missionary and Preacher. Just have female missionary, female preacher. I used Genestealer Cult parts for my missionary and preacher. So it's like shotguns and bolt pistols and things from them. As well as like that body and AdMech stuff. I threw a lot of stuff into my missionaries. Yeah. Ooh, as a Drukhari player, what units do you think will make the best allies for Ynnari? Kabalite Warriors, because then you can use in the Eldar detachment Bladestorm. So you've got a unit that's wounding pretty much everything. Well, it's infantry. You're wounding infantry on a 3+, and then you're getting -2 AP on every time you roll a 6. That's quite a lot of nasty shots that are getting through and then doing damage. So Kabalite Warriors will work. Incubi have gotten cheaper, so they work. Otherwise, quite a lot of the things are requiring to be in the Drukhari detachment to use the pain tokens. Having a lot of Venoms, having Raiders, having Ravagers, things with the Dark Lancers, they all got cheaper. So a lot of Dark Lancers, you can just put them straight into the Eldar detachment, and then because the Eldar detachment rule works on them, so you get to reroll a hit roll and a wound roll. Yeah, that's working really well on the many, many Dark Lancers we've got. So that's where Ynnari can really shine with the Dark Eldar units that have gotten cheaper. Grey Knight still does not have anti-tank weapons. I know. I know, it's awful. What made a nice model of a Palatine, which is an Novitiate, but with a cool sword with a Splendor Set Elnar. Yes, I like that. I like that. Good. Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights got points drops. Still not usable for 1,000 points because it's not enough for the armigers. Yeah, they're very much looking like allies. So Battle Sisters, I have a video on it. You can have Battle Sister Knight allies very nicely. So I recommend looking at the Knights for allies. I've never liked the idea of knights just being an army in themselves. It's too swingy as to whether you have a fun game or not. Because it's going to depend on, can you actually beat this? So yeah. Oh yeah, I think the guard will definitely get an armored fist attachment. Objective control increase on vehicles? Potentially. That is what they had in 9th edition, so I don't see why not. But it's going to be a while before they get their codex. Yeah. More the problems for Admech, but Necrons are sitting pretty... Possibly. New Gene Stealer cult detachment that allows you to soup Tyranids? I don't think that'll happen. I think they're keeping them very much separate. Yeah. In Crusade format, I never know how Crusade works. I think the idea is you have a Crusade roster of all the units you want, and then you have to make a valid army out of those units. So if you had Space Marine units, Imperial Guard units, Custodes units, Battle Sister units, and you were like, yeah, this is one of the fleets that went off with the Ultramarines Primarch, you've still got to pick one of those factions when you actually make your army in Crusade. I'm pretty sure that's how it's meant to work. But just be like, I want to use these models because fun. And your opponent will be like, fun? I am opposed to that. We go by the Games Workshop rules in this household. No, it works. I think you should be allowed to do it. Yeah. The best ally for Ynnari is Rabota Gilliman. It's a weird lore where he's like friends with Eldar. And, oh look, Cypher's helping him come back, but the Dark Angels are still hunting Cypher. He was also in the Horus Heresy, The End in the Death Book, doing good things for the Imperium. But it may have been Alpharius in disguise, we don't know. So, he's very much a good guy. And in earlier editions, you could take him in like an Imperial Guard army and a Chaos Space Marine army. So that was a bit weird. Yeah. See no problem on Knights being alone since you can just have entirely tanks. Yeah, you can just skew lists a lot. Fix the factions. Knights specialize for Admech and Dark Admech. That's probably where you could put your Dark Mechanicus. Actually expand the Chaos Knights to have all of these cool, like, models on foot. We keep seeing Crusader-looking dudes with a sword and a shield in the artwork of the Chaos Knights, being, you know, a feudal world. That'd be nice. That's where I'd put the Dark Mechanicum. Yeah. Yeah, armies just don't function without special rules anymore. The half Eldar Blueberry Librarian who's in the old, like, first edition stuff. Yeah, that was weird. First edition's a weird time. It was, like, RoboCop came out, and it was, yeah, oh, look, we can go out and shoot some punks. Don't you want to shoot punks? Yay, propaganda. Shoot them. Whereas 40k was like, okay, the punks on the street got dragged away, indoctrinated, given Space Marine armor, and now they're back as Space Marines techno-barbarian style. Very different kind of approach, but still oppressing other punks because of hypno-indoctrination. It was all very weird. They've sort of kept some of that. The Imperial Fists are implied to do that on Terra, just go around, hey, it's the Throne World, you're a weird punk, get in the Space Marine armor, you're an Imperial Fist now, Pain Glove time! You'll learn to be obedient. 40k names are the worst to type out. Yeah. Yeah. You hope Ahriman kills your reign? That could be interesting. They're probably just going to do it. They do this so often. Games Workshop does this so often where they're like, we're going to introduce a plot thread where something cool may happen, and then they don't develop it. They did it with Psychic Awakening. They've done it with, hey, end of, what was it, 7th edition. We're bringing the Ynnari. Eldar are going to be coming back. Then, no. There's been no real advancement on that beyond that law at the end of 7th edition, start of 8th edition. That was it. Tau Civil War, is it going to happen? No. The Necrons, though, they are actually having a civil war, which is kind of cool. Because you've got the Silent King that's like, we need to go back to flesh bodies. We need to sort this out. And then you've got, is it Trazen? Might not be Trazen. No, it's Stormlord. Imhotep the Stormlord is like, I like having a metal body and being immortal. Why do you want to go back to a flesh thing? And they're having an actual civil war. So that's cool. That's coming up in my new Crusade lore. Because there's at least 2 Necron players, so they are enacting the civil war. That's why they fight. And then you also have Imperial factions on the side of that. So we've got Deathwatch, got my sisters. Yeah. Good stuff. Agents of the Imperium team up with Harlequins to form the police. You hate that you're so right. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Space Marines aren't tactically flexible anymore because Games Workshop doesn't want to put weapon options in the kits. Yeah, yeah. And Necrons are having a civil war. Orcs are in a permanent civil war. The start of any warg is an orc civil war. The thing with the Space Marines, though, I'm not too annoyed at the Primera stuff anymore. It's just a different way of representing how desperate the Imperium is. So a tactical squad, they have all the weapons and the training. They're veterans. They know what they're doing. They're just using whatever armor is available. So you have weird mixes of armor. So you got 4th edition Mark 4 armor mixed with some Mark 6, mixed with some Mark 7. Then the intercessors, like the Primera stuff, they have new armor, new weapons, but they have not got the training. They haven't been a scout, then learnt Devastator Doctrine, then learnt Assault Doctrine, then learnt Tactical Doctrine. They learnt, here is a bolt gun, here's the button to fire the bolt gun. If you see an enemy, fire the bolt gun. If you run out of bullets, or it doesn't work, punch the enemy. Or some of you have an underslung grenade launcher. Use that against tanks and vehicles and things. Yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah, it'd be nice to have an Asdrubal Vect model. That'd be good. That'd be a centerpiece model. Something that regenerates command points. Mm-hmm. Don't know if they'll do the naked slaves, like in the previous 3rd edition model. Don't know about that. Yeah, Games Workshop made Space Marines feel like the old 30k stuff and then took away the new units and said, hey, here's new 30k models, but you can't use them in 40k. Oh, no naked slaves. You sad about naked slaves, Blackberry? Did you want some naked slaves? Oh, well. Yeah. Warhammer 50k went. Well, we're into the 42nd millennium, but don't know whether it's like the first 100 years or first 20 years. Yes. Herbert West, good night. Make them female and male for inclusivity. Yes, that is one way to do it. They're effectively aspect warriors. Yeah, I don't like that Space Marines have become aspect warriors. If I wanted Space Marines to be aspect warriors, I would play Eldar, which I do. So, oh, yeah. I love the Eye of Terror book. That was amazing when it's like, here's a bunch of things. Here's Lost in the Damned. Here's orcs. No, here's mutants. But you use like a mix of orc bodies and zombie bodies and Imperial Guard bodies. And there's your mutants. That was really fun. I really like the Eye of Terror campaign book. It is one of the best ones. Space Wolf's got some stuff. We don't need to know about that. The Eldar got some stuff, so you could have Ulthwy, and it's all like deep striking, and the Black Guardians are better at shooting, but they want to run away because they want to preserve their lives. So that was cool. Yes, and then you got the Child Soldiers, Youth Battalions, the White Shields. Yeah, oh, it was really fun, the Eye of Terror campaign book. Best book. Best book. That was when the Wolfen models came out. Yes, the new Wolfen are definitely a crime. If you go to the indexes and check, the Wolfen hammers are now damage 2. That is something you need to be aware of. A lot of people have missed that as well, but they've changed the profile of the Wolfen. So they're hammers that are not thunder hammers, but are hammers. You get like 3 or 4 attacks, but it's damage 2, whereas you can have the other weapon, which is the claws, which are like 6 attacks. Yes. Oh, right, let's talk about some Eldari tiers now that we've been talking for an hour. So the Avatar of Khaine is still a very good option. It didn't go up in price. If you're thinking, oh, the Yin Khan's got a bit nerfed, the Avatar of Khaine is a good go-to. If you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to take Eldari Wraithguard anymore, that's where you can go, right, the Avatar of Khaine is my new tough thing. Or you can go the Wraithblades. Yeah. So the Eldari do need to cry more. So that's why the tip money I get for today, which is from the Ko-Fi link in the description, if you click that, you can give like a couple of pounds. And that's some nice tip money, and that will fill up the bar that says Eldari tiers. What else we got? Oh yes, Eldari may want to consider having more Guardians, because Guardians being on objectives gives you more Fate dice. Similar to how the Battle Sisters on objectives gives you more Miracle dice. So we've also got a nicer contrast of the sisters compared to the Eldari, because now we get miracle dice as we go on and play the game. The Eldari are now only getting 6 miracle dice, fate dice, I'm going to keep calling them that, 6 fate dice at the start of the game, or 9 if they've got Eldrad. So that's a lot better. That's not, okay, let's do an Alpha Strike, spam, 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 loads of things. Here's loads of 6s. Yeah, we're not doing that with the Farseers anymore. So maybe they will have to include Guardians and a Farseer just to get the good stuff. Yeah, 12 Fate dice in this economy. Well, it's been good enough for the last, what, 9 months? Since they came out in May? So only now have they considered changing it. Ooh, Avatar of Kane's a nice model, getting painted like an old bronze statue. Yeah, if you look at like the Jason and the Argonauts film, paint it like the bronze soldier. Thank you for supporting the Eldari tiers. Oh, you're so good, Winbin Tan. Thank you. Have we talked about the expansive Space Wolf changes? Well, we've talked about how they have new profiles on their Wolfen, so check your Wolfen profiles. You have damage 2 on your weapons now. And also a lot of Lightning Claws. If you want Lightning Claws to actually be Lightning Claws, you need to look at your Space Wolves. Their Lightning Claws have got better. There was a document, one of the documents, what's it called? I don't know if I have it. The Index Cards Errata. If you look up the Index Cards Errata, go to Warhammer Community, look on the Downloads tab, click 40k, look for the Index Cards Errata thing, it'll tell you what's changed. Eldari Tiers called that the Weeping Stones. Yeah. They got rid of the once per phase limit on Fate Dice. No, they didn't. That's still there. Auspex Tactics said it was gone, but Auspex Tactics didn't check. It's still there. The, let's have a look. It should be here. Yeah, Strands of Fate. Once per phase before making a dice roll for a model or one of your units in the army with Strands of Fate ability. Yeah, it's still there. So they didn't switch it out and say you get fewer dice but there's no limit anymore. It still is the once per phase thing. So we're not quite alpha striking as much. This is why we need to check the things that YouTubers are saying before we go around going ah blah blah or whatever noises you wish to make. Yes. You're in the minority of people who like the helmets. I also like the helmets. I think they're pretty cool. Sisters is once per unit per phase. That's right, yes. So sisters are better for using the dice. Yeah. So the Eldari are much more restricted. Far sights and now near sights. Just ask Games Workshop how it works. You can never do that because they have all of the what was it called? The rules commentary with more rules, and then I've spent the last couple of days having people tell me this is a new cool thing you can do, this means this, and I'm like, it doesn't mean that. It really doesn't. Proofreading, what's that? Says Games Workshop. Yeah. Oh dear. What else we got? Hey, what does alpha striking meaning? Is it a turn 1 charge or turn 1 deep striking? Alpha striking is a term for a tactic, which is where you do as much damage to the enemy as possible in the first turn. So you can use indirect fire for that. You can get up close and charge them. You can get up close and shoot them a lot, but it's doing a lot of damage in the first turn. Something that may be the opposite of that is Genestealer Cult, where you are like waiting on a later turn damage. So you have not a lot of units on the table, and then turn 2 you strike, and that's sometimes called like a beta strike, countering the alpha strikes. Yeah, it just means doing as much damage to the enemy on turn 1. Yeah. Can you talk about how the crisis suits cost the same as the Storm Surge? No, but I recommend getting a Storm Surge. I've seen a really, really nice 3D printed version, one of them. Yeah. You got ruffle stomped by an Eldar Alpha Strike on your first 1.5k game, losing both Exorcists. Yeah. This is why Games Workshop has also put the points up for a lot of indirect fire units. Because they can do Alpha Strike and there's no way to stop that. Proxy Hammer has a video out like a few hours ago on why he thinks indirect fire has gone up and why it should be changed even more rather than just increasing the points, change how it works. Because when you've got things like, oh, I've got my Exorcist, it's got heavy. If it stays still and it's damaged, then there's +2 to hit, which means that if with the indirect fire -1 to hit, I'm still net +1 to hit. So I'm hitting on like a 2+ with the missile launcher. Yeah, I'm hitting on a 2+ with indirect fire missile launchers. That doesn't seem quite right. Yeah. Did I hear Dice Check is shutting down? Is that, what's his name? Brickman, Bricky's thing. Yeah, and he basically said this is something that was expensive. So like a lot of the other YouTubers, he's saying, I am ending my channel to go to this other more lucrative channel that's making money, or to do a podcast, which is much easier to do. Things like that. Yeah, so Dice Check is gone. But the rules, like the videos are there, still are going to stay there. Yeah, Games Night. I think it's Games Night has quite a few nice battle reports. And I'll be doing more battle report things in videos where it's relevant so you can actually see how it works in a battle. So here's some tactics. Here's how it works in a battle. So I think for my 1000 point sisters list, I'll be like, here's the list. Here's how we now play it in an actual game. But maybe a following video for that. I best stick around. I hope to stick around. I hope I can get enough money to stay alive and doing this. That's the problem. Yeah, so I may have to get more job, work more hours, which means less content, which is sad. So this is why I have the Ko-fi link in the description. This is why I'm like, YouTube doesn't give me much money. Please, can you guys give me money? That would be nice. There's also the options, not just of the one-off tips, which I know people love for the live streams, but also like monthly support. You can do like monthly support of like £2 that helps keep the channel going and means I don't disappear. Yeah, random task, that is how real artillery works. Well, yes, that is true. The way Proxy Hammer suggested it is you need line of sight from at least one of your units to be able to see the enemy. So if something is actually hidden, like in first turn, then no, nothing can shoot it. Hiveguard used to have the line of sight thing in 9th edition to ignore the indirect fire penalties, so it has been done before. Yeah, and Hiveguard were overpowered in 9th edition. So there's that. Yeah. Hint, but it's called tip money. But yes, thank you. Because we don't donate to Von Carmian. Von Carmian is not a charity. Von Carmian is not a desperate thing. But yes, that's okay, Dim Jim. You don't have to give tip money. It's where you can. Middle stage YouTuber career path, expanding in different channels to farm views and links. Yeah, and then consolidate into successful channel. That is the normal life cycle of it. So yes, if I got super successful and it was like, oh, here's a new channel. It's called like Von Carmian's Precious Little Life. And there I do lots of collabs with VTubers in small VTuber side channel. That could work. And then I'd be like, I'll do the occasional one for 40k. But if Precious Little Life took off, I would do that. Per Carmian, will Eldari bikers will be more relevant? Have an idea to make a full Viker army, but not really sure if it'll be fun. Maybe. Maybe it will be. They may need a detachment for it come their codex. It has definitely been done before, Agril Tal, and it works okay. I think even now, it's going to be pretty good. I would love scouts to be more useful as well, random task. They work quite well in Crusade games. As soon as I get the Crusade book that's come out for the Prior Nexus, I'll be doing a Crusade video. It is on my list in like the next 6 videos to do. I just need the book first. Scatter lasers are underrated. Scatter lasers and just scatter bikes. As soon as you could take scatter lasers on the Aeldari jet bikes, that's all anyone took. Yeah. The Ranger bikes are quite nice. I don't like the models because I think the idea of high-speed sniper weapons is stupid, but they work quite well in the games. What else we changed for the Eldari? Oh yeah, Fate Messenger. So that was an enhancement that changes a dice roll to a 6, but now you can only use it on the model. So it's not good for Wraithseers with Wraith Guard to get like 6 damage, or yeah, we auto hit or we pass a save. But we are going to see it with Ynnari and Harlequins on the Death Jester. Because then you can get a 6 to hit, and then you've got your lethal hits and special rules and things. So yeah, that can work quite nicely in that. Sons of Anarchy biker detachment just for everything. That'd be quite good in open play. I have all of the different bike things. If you want to do like a weird battle report, yeah. Death Jester is character, yes, yes. Lulu! Thank you, Lulu. Oh, it's your first super on a live stream. Thank you. Taking all of these first-time live streams. Thank you for making it so easy to get into Sororitas. I'm very proud of the force I've gathered with your tips and sometimes against. Yeah, I love the Castigator, but really, really valuable insight. Love you. Thank you, Lulu. Oh, the Castigator has gotten to be a better choice now the Exorcist has gone up. However, we lose the church organ, which is the bit that's cool. It does also give you +1 leadership, so if you think the Battle Sisters have too low of a leadership, Having them near the Exorcist, including like having Battle Sisters near a Triumph that's near an Exorcist, that's a good, like, there's all the auras working together. Yeah. Why wouldn't you use a sniper rifle when you're doing 400 kilometers an hour and 360 no scope it? Well, they do have scopes, so they will be using the scopes, which is the weird things. Yeah. I think the Ranger bikes fit Eldar well. Yeah, they fit one craft world of Eldar well. That's what I think. Yeah. Can you use Fate's Messenger and a Fate dice on the same roll? No, I think you can only use one dice substitution, so it's one or the other. That's what I think. Yeah. Ranger bike fit Eldar. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other army that would want them. Exorcist is still a thing, just taking 2 and 1,000 points is no longer a thing. That's probably right, yes. They're definitely using aimbots. I would never not take it because it is church organ missile launcher. Yeah. You only play leadership 5+ armies. Well, you're missing out on failing Battleshock tests. And there's a new thing for Battleshock. So the Patriarch for the Genestealer cult is much more viable now because it does a Battleshock at the end of the phase, and you know, in the combat phase, which is an aura, and you can boost that to a 12-inch aura once per game. Enemies that fail that now can't use stratagems after death. So that's things like fight on death, things like the Imperial Guard reinforcements to bring back another unit. You can't do that if the unit that died was scared, even though it is technically a new unit. The Battle Sisters Divine Intervention on a character can't do it if they're battle shocked. Yeah. Who has a 5+ leadership? Space Marines with chaplains. I think the Custodes have a 5+ leadership. Maybe they do. You can use a Fate Dice and Face Messenger in the same roll. It makes for a nice bunch of sustained hits. I mean, you can maybe do one. If you're firing like 2 shots, you could use one on one dice and one on the other. That could work. Yeah. I don't know if it just works on the same dice roll, like using a 1 of a Fate dice and then using Fate's Messenger to change it to a 6. Don't know if that works. I think it'd be one or the other. Oh yeah, Black Templars. They have one of their detachment special rules that's optional is to get a better leadership thing. Yes. What changed with the Thousand Suns? I think it is basically nothing. There was a slight like rules tweak on one thing. Let's see if I can find it. Tea. Okay, have a cup of tea. The rules change for the Thousand Suns is the Exalted Sorcerer on the Disc of Tzeentch. It now specifies that an enemy unit is bound, so that's adding a keyword thing for it. So there's also been a change in the rules commentary where you can now stack the same thing. So if it's like, oh yeah, I've got this thing that makes you -1 toughness, not the Death Guard aura that like everyone has, not the Plague aura, but something like no, Celestine isn't affected by the Eternity Spook, no. So her ability works whether she's battle shocked or not, because you're not using a stratagem. Yeah. Oh wow, so basically nothing is 6+. Most things are 6+. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, stacking things. So great and clean ones, they can stack multiple things on the same unit to make them multiple times -1 toughness. So you can go from toughness 5 to toughness 3 if you've got 2 of them. But other things that don't is anything like that sorcerer on the disc that says you now have an ability, an effect. Yeah, so the Genestealer cult, what's it called? Ridge Runner. The Ridge Runner that attacks enemies to make other things like, oh yeah, you're +1 to hit or an extra AP against them. That doesn't stack because it is specified as the crossfire effect. So once you've got the crossfire effect on a unit, you can't stack that again and again. Other things like being suppressed from the suppressors that are the Phobos Marines that fly, that have autocannons that aren't braced. They suppress a unit, so then you can't be suppressed multiple times. But yes, the command point for Insane Bravery, if you want to guarantee Divine Intervention, I think the Insane Bravery can only be used in the command phase, only in your own command phase, so I don't think you can use it in like your opponent's fight phase. Yeah, so Incubi being able to battle shock an enemy unit, the Patriarch being able to battle shock a lot of units, yeah. Night Lords will hate Templars, We'll see what we get for like a Night Lord's detachment, because there should be a Night Lord's detachment when the Chaos Space Marine Codex comes around. Oh, right. Okay, Eldari stuff. Phantasm got nerfed, so that's now a D6, whereas the Drukhari version in the Real Space Raiders detachment, that's called Strike and Fade. That is a normal move for any non-aircraft. It costs 2 command points, but you're moving for pretty much everything. You're moving 8 inches. So that's a better version. It costs more command points, but if you want to use Dark Eldar, if you want to use Real Space Raiders, there you go. You got a better version. I think Prisms will indeed make a comeback. Yeah, 1 CP to move 1 inch. Yeah. The Space Marines have it as well. I think it's in the... They have one in the Raven Guard detachment, and they have one in the Gladius detachment. Phantasm basically removed from the game. Fielders think need to kit bash 3 Exorcist and a Mega Bolt of Baneblade chassis. Yeah, they do need a super heavy. Yeah. Night Spinners. The Night Spinners also got a nerf, so they now no longer turn off advanced rolls, which is good for things like Gene Stealers, which can advance and charge, and that was just stopping their ability completely. Yeah, Fire Prisms were never out of the meta, just 3 of them were out of the meta, maybe 2 instead. But Night Spinners are now -2 to advanced rolls and -2 to charge rolls. It doesn't just turn off advance, which is an improvement. So Night Spinners, I think, may be more likely to be out. Not necessarily, maybe just 1. Yeah. But the Fire Prisms, yes. What about the name guy who lets you use unit stratagems even if they got battle shocked? Will let you revive stuff? Well, yes, I would expect so. Yeah. So if there's something like the Dark Angels detachment that lets you use stratagems even while battle shocked, then you can still do it revive on death as long as you have that character in range, I guess. I think you should be able to. Yes. New Dark Elder detachment, which lets a witch unit YOLO 8 inches out of a combat in any direction after they fought, all for 1 CP. Yes, it does. Yeah. So it's a retreat move or a normal move, and you do it at the end. So I'm looking forward to that. That's really cool. And it's anywhere, whereas any other unit has to go back into a transport. Yes. Yes. So I've done a video, I think it's my most recent video, on the Dark Elder detachment, so that's worth a look. Considering your army's movement 5, it's pretty awful for me. Night Spinners are better against units that want to move and charge. What you could also do as an Eldar player, if you think, oh, I need to stop something moving and charging, is put Warlocks in them. I think they can only go with Guardians, though, the 2 types of Guardians. But one of their versions of their spell is the enemies at -2 to charge your unit. So that's just always on. That can be quite nice if you're like, oh, I've got these Guardians on an objective and I don't want them to be charged, especially from Deep Strike. They're not going to be. So a 9-inch Deep Strike becomes an 11-inch Deep Strike. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Wraithguard. They can only now shoot back at the unit that targets them with their shoot back abilities. That's been nerfed twice. It used to be that you could do it in combat as a pistol weapon. Now you can't. And it also... you can only shoot back at the unit that targets you rather than like, I got hit again, time to blow up that tank on the side. Yeah. So they're very much going down. So I think Wraith Blades may be a good choice instead. Or if you want something tough and doing killy stuff, the Avatar. The Yin Khan is not as good for like Yunari factions because you can only now do the movement thing in your own turn when units die, which is massively... toned it down. It's not like, okay, I have this devastating shot lined up on your Yin Khan, and then I kill something way over the side, and it teleports over there, and it's now out of line of sight. And then you're going to shoot it with something, but before you shoot it with the other thing, I teleport over again. Yeah, that's a pain. With Wraithguard being pretty costly, are Fire Dragon and Fuegan going to be more popular? I think so. I suggested way back when we got the first rules for 40k 10th edition, putting Fire Dragons in a Fire Prism, getting out, and then you got rerolls to wound against vehicles. That works. That definitely works. Fuegan can go with them, or Fuegan also works by himself. Perhaps also coming out of the same not Fire Prism. Falcon. Coming out the Falcon. That's the transport that gives you the reroll to wounds like the Immolator does. Yeah. But the Yanari can also be boosted to have... yeah, they've gone from 7-inch move to a D6. Haha. Take that. Yeah. The Ynnari can also have a lot of the Dark Eldar units that have just got a lot cheaper. So we've got more Dark Lancers, more Cabalites using Bladestorm. It works. It definitely works. So my video with Dr. Crankenfoof about Dark Eldar, how it feels to play Dark Eldar, I go over how you would play Dark Eldar in a Ynnari detachment, which is probably still better than playing them in the Real Space Raiders detachment. But then you've also got to have a lot of Eldar units. It's like maximum 50% Dark Eldar. Yeah. I lost a knight to Fuegan once. Yeah, he's not to be messed with. Yeah, there's a lot of things could use a new model. Fuegan, definitely. Oh, thank you. Oh, 2 of you at once. Thank you, Winbin Tan, for the Take That Ynnari, Take That Yin Khan, and Kaidri, thank you for the 20 monies. Thank you. That's really nice of you. I do like it when I get the tips. It does help, and I know, like, I can go and buy stuff. There's a board game sale this weekend, so I want to go and buy some board games because they're all selling at like £5. So the more variations of £5 I have, the more I can get for that. So thank you to both of you. You want an expensive Monopose kit. Yeah, playing Ynnari, Drukhari, just use the new Mandrakes. That's not a bad idea. It's nice that they can have that. And was it 6th edition? No, it must have been 7th edition that you got the Ynnari together. Feels like it was that. Oh no, that was just allies. 6th and 7th edition, you could ally them together with the weird ally system they had in 6th and 7th edition. 8th edition was when it was like, hey, Ynnari's here. Yeah. Do you think Necrons will be OP now that Chaos and Elves have been knocked down a peg? Yes. I think everyone will be saying yes. Only some of their detachments though. But yeah, oh yeah, I remember Taudar from it. 6th edition Taudar. The Tau always struck me as too much like Eldar anyway. Yeah. Almost killed the Incarn with Mournval and then it teleported away. That's how it goes. But less so now. So if you don't want the Incarn, have the Avatar, but I don't think you can have the Avatar in a Ynnari detachment. I've got the rules here. I will check. Eldar, we have Ynnari. You can include Drukhari up to half your models. Can't have the Avatar of Cain. Can't have the Phoenix Lords either, so you can't have Fuegan. Oh, and you can't have Homunculus Coven's units in the Ynnari, even though one of them, one of the Homunculus Covens is very definitely trying to Phoenix itself and do like eternal rebirth. But that may be through like hurting the Ynnari people. Yeah, maybe that. So for Necrons, they've got nothing bad happen to them. No changes at all. There was a thing like a few weeks ago where the they changed it so Immortals are not getting a super weird spam thing. Yes, why are Necrons so good? The Hypercrypt Legion is quite good. The Canoptic Court is also quite good, so that tends to be where people are taking them. Yeah, Necron Hypercrypt Detachment lets 5 units blink across the board into the back line. That's the new Yin Khan faction, but it's all of them. They'll actually kill off the Ynnari or leave them in limbo lore-wise. They'll leave them in limbo. It'll just be we can pick this up as a plot thread if we want at some point in the future. Maybe. Or it might end up as like, oh yeah, we're getting to the end of 11th edition. We need to tie up some lore. Then we'll just do like a big end times thing, but for lore, before they massively change things. Yeah, Hypercrypt for movement or the Canoptic Court for damage. Because the Canoptic Court stuff, it works on basically everything. If you're in like the power zone, and then you get extra bonuses for things like Wraiths. Yeah, so that's why. Clarification of the 3-inch deep strike on the Hypercrypt is going to make a lot more people feel bad because it's going to be held at screen. Yeah. Might be. Yes, it's... Yeah. Those are the 2 good detachments. Really good detachments. I mean, the Destroyer one is not good. I made a parody thing of it, so that's on my channel as well. It's got a picture of the Doomstalker and me in wearing a mustache. You know, not enough Space Marines have mustaches. Some Space Wolves have mustaches, but think of a Space Marine. They're always like clean shaven or have a beard. No mustaches. I want more mustaches on my Space Marines. So yeah, they're like, yeah, here's your Necron Wraith. Not Wraith, I keep saying Wraith. Not the Wraith detachment. Destroyer detachment, which is really good for combat destroyers, not for shooting destroyers. So yeah. It's horrible, yeah. Ynnari are the threat to the homunculus business model. That's why. That's why they don't like them. Yep. There was a lot of rumors that didn't happen. There was rumors going on like, oh yeah, Imperial Knights, they're going to get back their bondsman ability. And I kept hearing that and I was like, that's what the rumors say. I don't know though. And then they didn't. Yeah. Can we get an avatar of Isha and her let her out of Nurgle's clutches? That'd be nice. That could be the next thing they do. I think the Yin Khan should have been more like that. But yeah. I mean, it makes sense because, you know, resurrection, healing, it's her thing as well. So we could have gone with that. We just called the power matrix the shadow of chaos. I mean, the demons of chaos have their own thing. Yeah. I blame Vex for not allowing the Ynnari to do anything, as he wouldn't be able to rule Comrag if they somehow beat Slaanesh. Perhaps. I mean, the whole idea of like despotic governments is they've got to keep people down constantly. What was it? The 1984 quote. The future of humankind is a boot stamping on a face over and over again. Just that. That's how they're going to do it. Hot take, Wraiths are fine. I think Wraiths will be mostly fine. Oh, Yagatai Khan, he does have a cool mustache. Or Jagatai Khan. Yeah. I'm sure they could use some mustache features. Necrons have no mustaches, proof of them being evil. They can't twirl a mustache evilly. That's the problem. The Space Wolves do have good taste in facial hair. What about like the scraggly beards and stuff? That's not good. We have to hate the Space Wolves. Hate the Space Wolves, yeah. No bondsman sad for Imperial Knights? Dirty elves trying to steal them? Isha and Nurgle, unlikely romance? No. Did I say 1984? I think I said 1984. I probably did. As a Necron, you're mostly... As a Necron, you're okay being OP. They've never been that far underperforming. Unlike, you know, Admech, Deathwatch, Sisters of Battle... They've all been like way down the bottom of the table at some point. Necrons never have been. Yeah. Magnus is not a tank, proof that he did something wrong. Magnus has done a lot of things wrong. He's now like a villain of the week for the Space Wolves. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to foil Magnus's plans as they come up again. Yeah. Necron Flayers should have mustaches. That works. They flay someone just to get the cool facial hair. Yes. Leagues of Votann, they've been way at the top of the table. They've been way at the bottom. They got some points increases, but that is basically okay. They just had a few units that were a bit overtuned. I don't think any Votann units are sad. Sisters climbed the table, and eventually they get kicked back down. Yeah. Games Workshop lore is Hades Persephone, and they thought, what if Hades was stinky? That is kind of how it works. Space Wolves though, right, their sagas have changed. That is something definitely. So there's more chance of their sagas happening because it happens at the end of any player turn, not at the end of a battle round. So now you've got like 5 or 6 11 to 12 chances to complete a saga, although like one of the times is not going to matter. It's like 10 times to do it, 9 times to do it, 8 times to do it, 8 times to like complete a saga where it's going to matter. Whereas before it was like 4. They're still not that amazing. It's pretty cool. If you want to try the wolves in their thematic detachment, I think it'd be worth having another go now. But if you have the wolves, the Thunderwolf Cavalry, you're going to want to use the Stormlance detachment. Otherwise, I think you're better off with the Gladius detachment. Yeah. So yes, also check the index stuff. So they've had quite a few index things updated. The Wolfen Hammer is now strength 6 and damage 2. So look out for that. The Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf has Twin Lightning Claws. They're now weapon skill 2+. The Wolfguard Terminator has finally got a close combat weapon. Great, good for them. They have a Power Fist anyway, but it's, I guess if you change out the Power Fist. Yeah, so they have the close combat weapon. Wolfguard Battle Leader on Thunderwolf. Their Twin Lightning Claws are strength 5 and weapon skill 2+. The Wolfguard Battle Leader and Terminator armor, yeah, the Lightning Claws are 2+, so we got an improvement to all of the Lightning Claws. And the Wolfguard Pack Leader, Chain Fist is like 3 attacks now. The Power Weapon is 4 attacks. Lightning Claws, 5 attacks at Strength 5. So I think they've all gone up to where like they should have been. Yes. Phantasm did need something doing to it as it's a big crutch. Yeah, I mean, the problem with some of the nerfs, like to the Fate Dice, is it stops your things like Howling Banshees from working as well, your Storm Guardians, and these were units that did not need a kick down. So Eldari as a whole should come down, I think, 4 or 5%. They'll still be pretty good. And especially Inari when you can just steal from all the Dark Eldar stuff. But they'll not be top. Yeah, Games Workshop turned Magnus from a relatable character into a villain. A mindless, boring villain. You don't know your Space Wolf sagas? Right. Space Wolf sagas. So, the way it works, you have to complete a certain thing at an end of a turn. So, at the end of a battle round, or, well, it's the end of a player turn, select one of the sagas below as long as you've done it. So, Saga of the Warrior Born, if one of your characters has destroyed an enemy character, then all of the melee weapons across your entire army have sustained hits 1. If you've control an objective marker in your opponent's deployment zone at the end of the player turn battle round, then improve the objective control characteristic of all your models by 1. That's pretty neat. As long as you can get to do it in like early turns. If one of your characters is injured below half of their wounds but not dead, then every unit in your army gets a 6+ feel no pain. And Saga of the Beast Slayer, if a character has killed a monster or vehicle, then everything in your army gets lethal hits. So it's all based around the Space Wolf characters doing cool things. So you need to take a lot of characters as Space Wolves. That's why they have a lot of like the light characters, the what are they called? Wolf Guard leaders. You put them in your different units, then suddenly everything's a character unit, then they're doing all the stuff. Yeah. So that's where you need all of them. And that's how you play wolves. Necrons haven't been top tier since 6th edition. I found them one of the tougher armies generally, because they're relatively easy to play, and they keep coming back. You need to be if you are a good player, then you can beat Necrons. If you're familiar with fighting Necrons, you can beat Necrons. Otherwise, it's a very difficult army to play into. Not as difficult as like Knights, but quite difficult. Oh. Games Workshop turned the Alpha Legion into a meme. I think the player base turned it into a meme first. Maybe that. Space Marines have a better Phantasm than Eldar. Flat 6 inches in the Gladius Vanguard detachment. Yes, it depends on the unit, though, that uses it. But it is better than the Eldar one. Eldar one, at least, is any unit, apart from vehicles, can use it. Vehicles and monsters can't use it, but it's D6. Whereas the Vanguard detachment, its Phobos and Scout units go flat 6 inches. Otherwise, it is D6 up to a maximum of your movement value. So you can't just do it with like movement 5 models. You can't roll a 6 and go 6 inches. You want to go 5 inches. But the Gladius detachment is D6 unless you're in the tactical doctrine, then it's flat 6 inches. Yeah. Banshees need hugs, not kicks. Yeah, those poor ladies. Give Votan an anti-elf detachment. Yeah. So, yes, Hero Hammer is very much the Space Wolf thing. So, yeah, their army rules require you to do something, tend to be competitively weak. Battle Sisters as well, you do get ones per turn on the Miracle Dice, but killing enemies using the Simulacrum, that's where it's like, okay, you got to do some stuff. Necrons have a lot of good synergies for the characters. Yeah. You missed the old lore. How far back are we going with the lore? Are we talking 1st edition Inspector Clouseau? Inquisitor Inspector Obi-Wan Clouseau? Or are we doing a bit further on? 3rd edition Necrons did not have a lot of units to pick from. 2nd edition Necrons have even fewer, but they were really tough. 2nd edition Necrons were like either you win and the entire Necron army disappears, or you lose to Necrons. that was the same, I guess, in 3rd edition. Yeah. Space Wolves having a cool rule is what makes it hard to hate them? Yeah. Oh, yes. You didn't know that 1st edition lore, there was an Inquisitor called Inspector Obi-Wan... Sherlock Obi-Wan Clouseau. He was a canonical character. Technically still alive in the lore because his death has not been confirmed. So it's something to look up. It's some variation of Clouseau, Obi-Wan, and Sherlock and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. He's weird. Definitely weird. Yeah. Necrons being based around the Tomb Kings, thematically and historically, needing a leader. Well, yes. If you've played Necrons in the old world more recently, then they do need probably more than one Lich Priest, but then I think you've still got to pick one as the Hierophant, and if they die, the army just crumbles. Hello, Discourse Minis. Nice to see you. 3rd, 4th edition lore was peak. I quite like the 3rd edition lore. Yeah. Trying to keep up with the Necrons lore especially. 3rd edition lore, it was like, we are soulless, horrible machines. Only the Lords have thinking stuff. Then we just want to wipe out all life. That is a pure, unambiguous goal. So it's like the Tyranids, and that's why they're opposed to the Tyranids, because Tyranids need everything to eat, to absorb, and then, move on. Can't do that if the Necrons have wiped out everything. So that was fine. And then you got to 5th edition Necrons lore, and it was just a bunch of bickering children. I did not like that. So I've not kept up with them so much. And some of it got a bit weird in like 5th edition. I'm doing more lore videos on the Battle Sisters. And they're going to be relatively short. I will be doing a, here's how the Sisters lore has changed through the editions and how cool it is. Yeah. Demiurgs have a miniature. Let the Tau have them as Tau auxiliaries. That would be cool. Just, now we're getting back into the, hang on, we have ally charts again. Ooh, do we really want that? I think you can just have, I don't know, an open play thing where it can be like, okay, you can have a unit of Hearthkin Guard in your Tau army, or Imperial Guard infantry squads, just regular infantry squads, and they're your Guer Versa. That could work. Worse is everything, their Primarch is a furry. He does love his wolves. Yeah. Best Necron list was 6 units of warriors in 3rd edition. Pretty nasty. Pretty nasty. I miss the Lovecraftian horror vibe they had. Yeah. You don't get that when you're like bickering children as Necrons. Star vampires were cool and their weird things. 1st edition was Grim Dork. Yeah. Forgetting the Grim Park. No, they had quite a lot of grim stuff. Abducting people from the streets, indoctrinating them to then go and oppress the people on the streets. There was some elements that were grim dark. But not all of it was. It was definitely a lot more silly and stupid. And then they were taking elements from everywhere, which they've still done, really. They've still got their lore from, we're going to take this from Star Wars. I mean, look at the new Walker. The new Sentinel Walker that they have for the not Imperial Guard, the Imperial Army, the Solar Auxilia for 30k. That is very much looking like the Clone Wars Walker that the clones have. So it's just that. It's just that. Yeah. So I like Necrons when they were weird and scary. So imagine if we brought Zotes back and they said they're a Tyranid thing, and now we're having full-on conversations with the Tyranids, and it turns out they have like philosophies, hopes, and dreams. They've read Plato's The Cave. Everyone at Games Workshop has read Plato's The Cave. Did you notice how much Plato's The Cave came up in the End in the Death book? Where it's like, oh yeah, the Horus and Mr. Heresy is fighting his dad, the Emperor, and then they're fighting really way off, and we're just seeing it as like reflections of shadows on a wall. That's Plato's The Cave. Everything that's Tzeentch is Plato's The Cave. Thousand Sons as a whole, Plato's The Cave. So yeah, there's that. So having more lore for the Necrons where they have hopes and dreams and fears and fight each other. And was there a Necron overlord that came out as trans? I seem to remember that, and she was like, I will not announce my new identity until I've taken over this whole world. So that's like instead of a Dark Lord, you will have a queen, not dark, but beautiful and terrible as the storm. So that's definitely a cool coming out way to do it. I'd have to double check the lore. It's a thing of like, I could talk about that in a video, but then I'm not doing lore for Necrons because there isn't too much of it. I'm just doing lore for Sisters, and I will do some Genestealer Occult lore as we go on. Tyranids reading Plato the Cave by eating a book, probably. Yeah. I can imagine like the Zotes turning up and saying, hey, here's what we think of the Tyranids as a species. It's a trade deal. You will get eaten we will get to eat you. Does that sound fair? And that's the extent of it. And they're like, now think about it. Sort of weird the Thousand Sons are on the same level as the Necrons. Yeah, it's because they're both going for the Egyptian vibe. Yes, the dawning horror that there might be a Catan slumbering under Mars. And there was, and it was extracted by a Necron task force. And it was the Void Dragon. And now it has a model, but we haven't really gone back to the weird robots and all the stuff on Mars. Yep. Just do an Agents of Xenos book. Ooh, that's a good idea. Then you can have your Demiurge allies. Then you can have your Gervesa. You can put more stuff in there. Hey, the crew are going to get their own detachment, but I don't know how good that'll be for like Vespid and stuff. Vespid have gone down in points, but we don't know. Maybe they're trying to get the Vespid down in points so people buy the Vespid models, and then in theory, supposedly, there is a rumor that there's going to be more Vespid models coming out in a kill team, possibly against Swooping Hawks, and it'll be like a sky fight, but we'll have to see. Yeah, more force of nature than an army. Well, there is the Imhotep the Stormlord who does storms, so that works for the Necrons. Change the way special rules work and turn modifiers off for the Catan. Yes, I haven't looked that deeply into Catan, but I will have to because I'm going to be playing against Catan soon. Yeah, the Necron's 3rd edition codex had a lot of really cool stuff. Can you recommend a knight to ally into my melee marine army? Probably going to be any of the bigger knights. Although armigers, the combat armigers with the melter and the chainsword, that would work. Give you some shooting stuff. Canis Rex work. He has a very big fist and he has really good shooting. And otherwise, I think it's the cheapest knight that's big with the power fist and the chainsword. That's a pretty good one. Yeah. Yeah, the Necrons are too humanized, I think. Even the ones that aren't wearing the skin. And then there's Nightbringer. Yeah, the Nightbringer's nasty. Why does it keep skipping? Necron Rogue Traders when? You're going to have to stick a blonde wig on the Necron Lord. Trans in the Infinite. I don't know. I imagined the thumbnail, but I just didn't check the story, and I don't know which book it is, but I think it was there. I think it was there as a story. And then Games Workshop was like not amped it up a lot because even the mention of female Space Marines gets people angry at Games Workshop. You have the kill team and those models are great. I've played against them on the tabletop. They're not super amazing on the tabletop compared to just regular Kroot, but they could be fun. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's definitely canonical females, like the Maynarch Dynast, even though we're like flat ribs, because they still have ribs, they don't put like prosthetic boobs onto their armor bodies to be like, now I am extra feminine. They're still skeletal. But yes, there is a Pharaon who is female. And kill team knights would ever exist. That's where I think you could do like your Dark Mechanicus kill team. That could work. Finally getting non-confined cast Swooping Hawks? Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. If you want more melee, the Knights Gallant. That's the one it's called. Yeah. Shooting knights make the best allies? I mean, a lot of shooting things do generally make better allies. Pirates, Renegades, Red Corsairs, Void Reavers, Freebooters. I mean, I can see that as a theme, but that's on the same size as, like, the bikes theme. Yeah, that's a different thing. Armigers, probably Armigers the way to go. You have the old banana Catan. I mean, that's still the modern Catan for the Deceiver with the banana head. That one, yeah, it's a pain to build, but it looks pretty cool. We're getting new aspect warriors in plastic every time the Imperium gets fractured. Yep, yep. No Catan points changes is very strange. You're saying that as a Necron players? Well, there was no points changes at all because the Codex is so new. That's basically why. Yeah. I was going to talk about like Black Templars changes, but other than the Crusaders going up in points, there's not a lot. And the Black Templars are not on their chart. Let me just bring up the chart. I will bring up the chart. I have the chart. Click that button. I click that button. I click that button. I click that button. There we go. We have the meta chart. Don't click that. That says shut down. Do not click that. Yeah, I was generally impressed with the Dark Eldar changes as well. Not just the points reduction, which is going to help Yunari, but getting cheaper Dark Lances for everything. But I really like the detachments. I've done a video comparing the benefits of the old detachment, even under the new rules, with the benefits of the new detachment. It's not as distant as you think. It isn't just like new detachment is just great and don't bother with the Real Space Raiders before. Real Space Raiders still has some value, especially considering they get more pain tokens and the Dark Eldar need pain tokens. Just in the Sky Split detachment, they also need transports, they also need command points, and they also need the pain tokens to live. Yes, so I find this this whole chart kind of weird with the... Ooh, hello, new subscriber to the channel. Welcome, welcome. We have no Black Templars here on the chart. We also have no World Eaters here on the chart. I think that's just shame. Just shame. We're not going to mention the World Eaters at all. Yeah. In my mind, if you're going to bring a knight, you've got to go all the way and take lots of things. You could go really big knight. Yeah, you could go really big knight. Just the firstborn and the named characters went up for Templars. Yeah, yeah. I have not enjoyed Dark Eldar in 10th. Didn't like bringing all homunculus stuff. I don't have any homunculus stuff. That's my problem. So it was like, how do I do the 3 when I can't be bringing them because I don't have them, so it doesn't really work. The playstyle, same for me, Discourse Mini. Same for me. I have the transports. I have some jet bikes. It absolutely works much better. Lonely V-View. It seems like they're doing a pretty good job with balance compared to the new win rates, compared to what they were at the start of 10. Yes, well, now we've had play testing. That's the thing. We have done the play testing for Games Workshop, and then there'll be changes for things. When's the next change? They may do some new points. Well, there's going to be new points for the Dark Angels once their codex comes out, or just to invalidate it. So the next points change is expected in April, which is just going to be a points change. None of this changing the index cards and rules, increasing the number of detachments available for Dark Eldar, changing the rules commentary, changing the points, adding a balanced data slate. That's 5 things. I've had very busy days trying to just figure it out and then argue with people on the internet about how they're wrong. So many people have been saying like, oh, Genestealer Cult, have you seen this? Have you seen this? You can't do stratagems when enemies come from reserve because they haven't counted as making a normal move. Like, no. Overwatch still very much does burn the Genestealer Cult. Yeah. So there's that. There's definitely that. Buy the expensive book that's useless on release. Yep. World Eaters were about 50 to 51%. I'm trying to think what we had them in the Goonhammer thing, because I did a video about the Goonhammer results and what I thought of them, and also how the stats are figured out and whether or not I like that. But it was relatively good. Yeah, it was about 50-51% in that one. Yes. World Eaters are really bad top tournament levels. Well, let's have a look at the World Eaters next. Yeah, it's weird that Deathwatch are there, but no World Eaters. I do find that odd. Okay, we can keep looking at the chat, or do you want chat back up? Give me an opinion. 1 for having this faction win rate on the screen, 2 for having the chat back so that you can see the chat easier. Whichever one you want. Also, apparently some of you are watching me on a full TV screen. Okay, that's a way to watch me. Fair enough. Have fun with that. Do I look like when I'm big? Oh, that's something else. I intend to have hands. Like hands that move on stream. I'm going to try it in a video soon. Probably a short video just to test it out. But I should be able to have moving hands. I'm not like a Spanish or Italian person, so I don't move my hands that much. But having hands could be an improvement. We're thinking two. You want to be on screen. Okay, that's fair enough. Let's get you back on screen. There we go. Yes, never change Games Workshop. You should see what's going on in Drukhari Land with the new detachment. Oh, are people arguing about which one's better? Good. Alexander Brown, if you can go there, whether it's on Reddit or Facebook, and just, you know, post my video, because it's only got like a couple of thousand views and it's a day old. So I could do with a bit more, wouldn't mind, from some dedicated Dark Eldar players, see what they think. You know, then they can actually play it and stuff. One person has been like, I played it and this is how it works. And it's okay. But yeah, I love my 3 factions being in the bottom 6. Mm-hmm. You know, I've had that feeling before. It's definitely a feeling. And you're like, well, we can play each other. Let's do that. Yeah. The World Eaters are a super one-dimensional playstyle. Yes, well, they did exactly what they could as a faction. One person commented, like, it's as if the World Eaters filled out the exam, got all of the questions right, and then were penalized for writing on paper with, like, blue ink instead of black ink. It's that kind of thing. So they did exactly what they could. They have such a small roster, and this is why I don't like splinter factions. Like, oh, we got Dark Mechanicus off on themselves. We've got even Admech off by themselves. They do it a lot in Warhammer, no, in Age of Sigmar, where it's like, here's this one ghoul unit, now it's a faction. Here's this one spirit host unit, now it's a faction. It's so few units that they don't have enough to fluctuate. No, they don't have enough units to do more than one playstyle. They don't have enough units to do anything great if they get a little bit of a nerf. So their power and balance is going to fluctuate massively. So now with all of the points increases, World Eaters are going to be doing like 8-bound and Angron and nothing else. Nothing else at all. Even their meme list got nerfed. Because there was a fun meme list of you take a Demon Prince, which no one did competitively, but you did casually, and you put a lot of Jackals in the army, like max out Jackals, and then they get an invulnerable save from the Demon Prince. Going with like a 5+ or a 4+ invulnerable save the whole game. It's really funny. Yeah. Yeah, Discourse Minis, that's, you are Dark Eldar, Genestealer Cult Sisters, and Imperial Guard. Well, I am Dark Eldar, Genestealer Cult Sisters, Imperial Guard, Space Marines, Imperial Fists. I've now got Deathwatch. I bought Deathwatch. Shouldn't have bought Deathwatch, but I have lots of Deathwatch, and that's kind of fun. It's nice to have like an army of heroes. So they're very much in the bottom. So technically I have Space Marines. I also have Chaos Space Marines, which are doing quite well nicely at the moment, but I haven't been playing them that much. I've been playing the Sisters and the Genestealer Cult and then the Dark Eldar for a couple of games. I've not really got into the Imperial Guard this edition because they just don't feel right for the detachment. The Combined Arms things, I want a more infantry focused. I have Praetorians, you see. So if you ever want to know about Praetorians and pith helmets and red jackets and we fire by rank, and we'll not talk about how it's a bit culturally insensitive to swap Zulus for orcs, but we are swapping, you know, the British Empire evil, possibly evil, with the Imperium of Man definitely evil, absolutely evil, undeniably evil. You like melee armies need a way of avoiding Overwatch? Well, if you play Dark Eldar and you get an enhancement, then one of your units can avoid Overwatch just purely. So that's cool, that's cool. Your arm's still down by your side on the model with 2 random floating away govs would be... Oh, Zap! I remember Zap. Zap was such a good TV show where it was like lots of different little sketches. It was on TV. It's fun. You should look up Zap. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun. I'm saying it's fun. I think it was fun. So look up Zap and the hands, and they would do to classical music something really cool and funny. Yes. Yes. You're just imagining Rayman. No, the hands will be connected to my arms, so the arms will move. That is how it should work. But we'll see how it goes. And I'll do it not on stream first. I was going to do it for this stream, but I thought, let's do a test thing. Otherwise, I'll end up like Wiggly Arm Man that's outside like all of the car sales things. Yeah. You want guard back in the middle, hate being in the bottom. At the start of the edition, I thought that'd be really powerful, but that was because of indirect fire. Oh dear. Indirect fire's gone way down. Way down. Here's a Harlequin, now it's a faction. Yes, that is the thing with Splinter factions. And now they're not... I mean, was it 2nd edition Harlequins became their own faction? They had some units in, like, 1st edition, if I remember correctly. But then they were their own thing. They had, like, a Codex offshoot, the way that, like, Dark Angels had an offshoot and Blood Angels had an offshoot Codex. And Ultramarines had an offshoot Codex for their own things. That was in 3rd edition, and then again in 8th edition. So yeah, them being 9 units and half of them characters, well, welcome to Genestealer Cult, another offshoot faction that was their own faction in 2nd edition, and then is their own thing again. Yeah. Harleys were their own... Yeah, 2nd edition, that's when they were their own army. Name your soul price for my service, or vampire. Info ain't cheap on the Dark City. Oh, it's nice of you to share it. Thank you for spreading the videos on the Discord and the Reddits. I see quite often that's like, your video was shared 100 times this week, and I'm like, was it? Awesome. Cool. I'm glad I can be of value to people. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, I just end up being like a React streamer where it's like, oh, here's what someone else called Von Nistian Carmian said about this particular faction. Let's watch the video in the background, and then occasionally I'll say some words. In fact, let me get up from the stream, let me just walk away, and then I'll just leave the video playing, and then I'll get ad revenue from playing someone else's videos. I'm not going to do that. However, I do have a React video planned. But there's reasons. There's reasons for that. World Eaters are just guy runs up with sharp stick. That is the World Eaters in a nutshell. Yeah. Leviathan box and new scout kill team means you have 1,000 points Marines army. Excellent. Yeah. Oh, Discourse Mini running an infantry guard as well. I don't like tanks. I think tanks are so boring. Tanks are just... Here's a box. What's its personality? What's the character that goes with it? There's nothing. It's a box with a gun. At that point, I'm playing bunkers. It's just a bunker that moves slightly. Yes, so IJ Holder 89. Fun name. Yeah, that's a pretty good starting army. I think that's okay. Just remember, your characters can be okay running alone at 1,000 points. Then it's up to you if you want to get units for them to go with, like more Terminators, because the new Terminator kit, it looks really good. I'm not going to buy it. I'm promising myself not to buy it unless it's in like the Hachette magazine. That's been out apparently since the 10th of January. I've completely missed the first one, and the second one, the third one. The fourth one is going to be paints. So after that, they'll see how well it sells, and then it'll go to mainstream, like UK sales. So maybe they were just doing it in certain parts of the country. I'm in the Northeast. I haven't seen any of the magazines. So unless they're selling it like just in London. So if anyone's seen where the Hachette magazine is, that's the Combat Patrol Hachette magazine. I did a community post about it a while ago. Like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, a while ago, when it was first announced. Yeah, so if you see that and you know where it is, that's where I would love to know where it exists, because I would love to have that Terminator Captain. And that's how you can expand your Space Marine army. Yeah, I've only seen them on eBay as well for like £20 for the £2 magazine. Deathwatch is a fun army. Yeah, they're very thematic and cool. Discourse minis. You and I may be more alike than you think. Just everything is, yes, infantry guard, flyers and transports for Dark Eldar, Genestealer cult, a lot of infantry. I do a lot of Genestealers in my Genestealer cult army. I keep telling this lot, this wonderful lot of darlings and viewers, to have more Genestealers in their Genestealer cult army. And now that the points for Genestealers have gone down, look at my Genestealer video, the Genestealer and Patriarch video. I think it has the picture of the Patriarch on the thumbnail. That's where you can see, aha, this is where we're going to be pinning down the enemy with Genestealers. And also clawing our way through them. So, new video on Genestealer cult will be coming soon. Really big video. So, that's an option to go and check out, if you so wish. People who play Genestealer cult. Yes. Yes. Like the tank commander... Christian von Conman. Gasp. Gasp shocked. Ban. Mods, ban this person for the monsters. Oh. No, not Zap Z, not you. There was a TV program in childhood for like mid-90s, I want to say mid-90s, called Zap. Yes, I want a tank commander who's drinking tea. I do as well. Then I can paint them up to look like Darjeeling from Girls and Panzer. Red uniform, little black epaulets, drinking tea, blonde hair. It's perfect. And I will call that Darjeeling. There was also Orange Pecco. They had fun names. Chamomile? There was... All of the girls in Girls and Panzer for the British team, St. Gloriana, they all have tea name. They're named after tea. So it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Zap is an easy litmus test to figure out most of us a certain age group. I think I have one person who is under the age of 18 who watches my videos. That's about it. Otherwise, we're looking at people in their late 20s, 30s, and 40s. That's apparently the one I appeal to. Like, hey, remember second edition? Second edition was cool. That's the kind of person I am. And they're like, yes, it was. I remember that. Other people are like of an age to know that second edition was there, but didn't actually play it until like later editions. Yeah. Oh, commandos are there for like no Overwatch. Cool, cool, cool. Go hands and no arms. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. That would mean having separate hand trackers. So I would need... Okay, that's going to cost money. No, I can't do things that cost money. Thank you, Hurry, for subscribing to the channel. But if it costs money, I can't do it. I am running this channel with duct tape and bits of string. This model I made myself from like lots of assets and tiny pieces collected online and stapled together. And then I made the necklace myself from a picture of a necklace. So if it ever costs money, I don't think I'll be able to do it. A lot of other people that are VTubers are like, oh yes, I got my model. It was £500 to £800. And then they are a VTuber for like 2 months, realize they don't like it, realize they can't get viewers from just live streaming the games they were going to play anyway at home. And then they give up on the money. And it's really sad for the person who did the, you know, the design and then made it. And then the person who rigged it to make it work. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the resale value of them is. Probably okay. But yes. Yeah, this is an expensive hobby, and I just bought more Deathwatch. This is why we need the Combat Patrol Hachette magazine. Yes. Yeah, 3rd edition is nice as well. Oh, good. You just started playing Gene Stealer Cult, and the army has been... I have been the guru for it. Excellent. There is one other Gene Stealer Cult. I do like shouting out people who do good stuff. Zara Kane is well known for her Gene Stealer Cult video. She hasn't done a lot recently, but she is apparently active on things like Reddit, I think Twitter, and like Facebook. So they're a good person to go to if you have like quick questions. Otherwise, yes, come to my videos and comment on them, and I can answer most questions. I do try and keep up with the comments that come up. Unless it's like a really popular video like the cover one. It was like 6,000 views in 12 hours. Like, seems other people also did not know how cover works in 10th edition. Plasma Lehman Russ. Haven't seen the Hachette magazine anywhere in Glasgow. Yeah, I'm guessing it was just like sold in maybe Nottingham and London, and that's about it. Plasma Lehman Russ is a characterful person with a stroppy crew that will murder the... Yeah, it's a stroppy vehicle that murders the crew on a whim. Although I have a video on the best Lehman Russ, and it's the one with the Nova Cannon, the City Fight one, not the Demolisher. Eradicator. The Eradicator is the best tank. That's the one I like. Yeah. Games Workshop is really trying to sell Gene Stealers. Discourse Mini's Wargame channel is like 30 plus aged people. Tabletop Roleplay Game channel is way more skewed towards people in the early 20s. Oh yeah, I saw your channel for... what's it doing? I need my screen on. Yes, I saw your tabletop thing, because you also mentioned the nice cat. Joe Cat. Yes, Joe Cat left, which was quite sad. I liked your video on that. Good job on that. But yeah, the demographics are different. You don't get many people who are like, I'm just going to university. Oh, I do hope to spend my student loan on all of these Space Marine models. Yeah. Cardboard Dreadnought wasn't fun. The Cardboard Dreadnought, if you have a Cardboard Dreadnought from the 2nd edition starter set, the Orc Dreadnought, that goes for many monies on eBay. Because tournament players want that model. It is tournament viable because it is a Games Workshop model issued by Games Workshop. It has a base. It has, you know, it's a model in itself. It's very narrow though. So if you turn it sideways, you get a lot less line of sight. So tournament players, especially at Games Workshop tournaments, they really want that model. Bit of card. I guess you could try and print your own and try and pass it off as that 2nd edition Dreadnought. If you can do that, you are in the good money. Yeah. Oh, pipeline for new fans starts with Rogue Trader video game. Oh, the Space Marine video game. The Doom one. What was that called? We just call it Doom Space Marine. That's a way to get it. It used to be Dawn of War. Now it's that. I also get people... someone asked, like, recently, what is this Warhammer 40k? Is it like Warhammer Total War? It should be like Warhammer Total War. And I'm like, yes, but sci-fi in space, and it's a tabletop miniatures game, not a computer game. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I play Warhammer and it's great fun. It's like, oh, you must play online. It's like, no, no, I spend many monies and much time buying expensive models, painting expensive models, hundreds of them, and then I play against other people who have made similar poor financial choices. Yep. The Games Workshop does have like the terrible prices. They're really awful. Yeah. High-end fishing. I think NASCAR racing, or like it's one of the racing where you take your own car as long as it's got a roll cage in it, and then you crash your car and stuff. That is considered to be cheaper than playing 40k. Oh my. Rogue Trader game was quite fun when there's no bugs. Yeah, there's been quite a few okay Warhammer games. The Deathwatch like mobile game, not as good. Yeah. You've been playing Pro Hammer, which is Warhammer Remastered. Oh, I did like the 3rd edition Witch Hunter Codex. That was great. And it also had a section in the back for... Are we reconnected? I think we might be reconnected. The Finecast models, yeah, the Finecast models were just... They were not worth it at all. Are we back? I think we're back. Okay. Yeah, the Finecast models were not worth it at all. Then think of like the old world stuff. The old world stuff that's just coming back. Where it's like, hey, do you want to pay £36 for, I don't know, it's a model. It's a model from 1998. It was available in a blister pack for £6. Why are we paying £36 for it? That is too much. So anyone who still has an old world army that's like, oh yeah, I've got this, I'd sell it now. Especially Tomb Kings. They're going for many monies online. Yeah, it's down for everyone. It's a weird... I don't know what went wrong. It happens when I'm like streaming for more than 2 hours. Usually I keep my streams to like 2 hours. I aim for 1, but it ends up being 2. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Apostate Cardinal, the Rogue, and the Rogue Psyker. They were really good in the Witch Hunter's Codex. The Rogue Psyker was especially good because it had 5 wounds, whereas no one in that edition had that many wounds. You were lucky to get 2 wounds on something. That was just insane. 5 wounds. I mean, it was a toughness 3 model, but still, when you're fighting Battle Sisters, it's a bit of an insult to be like, oh yes, I'm toughness 3, you're toughness 3, I have 5 wounds, your characters have 2. So yeah, that sucks. 3 wounds on the Lord Inquisitor. Yeah. What makes something Finecast? Right, Finecast was a production of resin that Games Workshop tried from 2012 to about 2014. It was considered really bad, called Failcast, because rather than being really good molds, they had a lot of bubbles, they had imprints, bits would snap off, bits would be bent and not be able to be fixed. So it was considered really awful. Yeah. Spincast resin? I don't know. Finecast is the material. It's an inferior version of the Forge World resin. Yeah, they were trying to make cheaper resin, essentially. Yeah. Didn't know they gave armies a breather after their codex. I mean, I'm losing some of these conversations because some of them happened before the crash. Hello, I'm new to the hobby of 40k and my first army was Leagues of Votann. That is an okay starting place because that is where a lot of people have been like, yeah, that's a new army, new faction, let's go. You will find people are complaining about Leagues of Votann, but they'll only be remembering Leagues of Votann from 9th edition. They are much better now in 10th edition, much more balanced. It's a relatively easy faction to get into because it's just, I pick some units to die, and they should die. Space Dwarves. Space Dwarves are okay. Yes. Ah, yes. Peachy has explained that thing. The Resonant Finecast stuff. Yes. Oh, you don't know what Forge World is? Well, if you look on the Warhammer sales pages, anywhere in the Warhammer sales pages, and you'll see things that are marked as age 15 plus, that's where they're going to be, ah yes, this is some kind of Forge World resin thing. That's what it's meant to be. It's like, this is a specialist kit, or this is hard to build. No, it's just made of the good resin. They're not particularly harder to build compared to anything else. Seen some Finecast Warp Spiders? Yeah. That's where the metal ones are better. People really like the metal ones instead. So that's what Forge World was. No help for AdMech, no help for... Well, yeah, no help for AdMech. Nothing bad happened to AdMech, that's something. Whereas World Eater players would be like, I wish nothing happened to us. That would have been good. Yes. Okay, what other things that I have to mention? Sisters rules. So, as I'd been telling you how to play it, Junith's command point regeneration is confirmed that is part of the 1 command point maximum that you get at the start of the full turn. Even though it happens at the start of the turn, and the rules say you can only generate 1 command point outside of the command points you get at the start of the turn, that's referring to just the command point that you get from playing the game. Junith's thing is confirmed to be that. So if you're playing secondary missions and you discard a secondary mission card and you've already had Junith give you a command point, then you don't get both. You don't get 2 extra command points on top of your 1 normal command point. So that's the thing I needed to remember to tell you. Genestealer Cult. We are still affected by Overwatch from reserves, even though there's like a rules commentary thing that says, hey, yeah, we can't trigger stratagems and abilities from units arriving from reserves or Overwatch. We just don't count as having made a normal move. So Overwatch specifies you can use it against units that just got set up by Deep Strike and out of transports and stuff. It just stops things like the Termagants. They have this, I think people call it the scuttle move, where an enemy moves close to them and they move however far. So you couldn't phantasm away from a Genestealer Cult unit deploying from Deep Strike anymore. That's good. Yes. Yeah. What else do we get? Yes, the Nexus was clarified to be updated. The index to say it only moves your cult ambush markers, not your opponent's markers in a mirror match. And the index cards, they've updated it to say, oh yeah, when we pressed copy and paste and we said that there was 100 Genestealer Cult index cards, no. Just 50. Just 50. And the Patriarch has indeed got better. So, enemies that are battle shocked, when they die, they can't use stratagems after death. And we've already mentioned that you can't stack Crossfire from Ridge Runners, even though there is now a rules commentary rule that say you can stack things from multiple abilities, as long as it doesn't give an effect. Crossfire is an effect, so you can't be like, -1 AP, -1 AP, -1 AP. Doesn't work. Yeah. That's right, Wenbintan. So if you have a command point farmer, you don't get command points from discarding secondaries, unless you didn't get the command point from that particular command point farmer. So if Junith was in a Rhino, which is something she can do despite the size of the pulpit, then yeah, if you got a command point from her, you wouldn't get an extra command point from discarding the secondaries in the Leviathan, like, secondary mission deck. I have 2 combat patrols. Should I get 2 more or just 1 more? I think you'll be okay with 2 combat patrols. I think that gives you enough of the same models. That gives you more than enough of the core of the army. Yeah. So you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. You might want some other units to bulk it out, potentially. Probably won't get the tank in the new combat patrol for Genestealer Cult. I think what people are thinking is, if you like the new Malkador tank, that has rules for the Genestealer Cult. I can't remember if they're Forge World. No, I don't think they're Forge World. Yeah, so they're like Imperial Armor. So if you look at the points, it'll say this is an Imperial Armor thing. Forge World. It'll say it's a Forge World point value. That's what it'll be. So I think that's where the Malkador is. I'm looking under I for Imperial Guard, and that's not where they are. They are a Imperial Guard. Adeptus Mechanicus, Adeptus Custodes, Adeptus Sororitas. Where is the page 9? 9. Astra Militarum. Yes, Forge World things. Things like the Macarius. Yes, all the Macarius variants are Forge World, so you can even use them in tournaments. So if you want to, they're not legends. So they're not legends. They can be used in tournaments. They're a Forge World thing. So you can get the new cool, when it comes out, Solar Auxiliary Malkador, and put that in your Genestealer Cult army. That'd be cool. You can do that. I just wish they'd actually come out with some of the stuff when they announce it. Because remember, from October, we're still waiting on a Space Marine Captain in Terminator armor that's multi-pose? Yeah. Yeah. Cynocephalo. Not extra command points with Genestealer Occult Neophyte hybrids. So the maximum you will get in a player turn ever is 2 command points. One that you get at the start of the turn, which is your standard one you get at the start of the turn. Then any number of Neophyte hybrids collectively max out at 1 extra command point. Then if you discard any secondaries, you wouldn't get an extra one for them. So total of 2 is what you'll get in the battle round. One of them being the one you get at the start anyway. So it's like very firmly maximum of +1 command point. When are they going to bring out the Volkite Lehman? Oh, I don't know. It's probably going to be another few months at least. Yeah. This is where I need to mention, I've got it written down in my notes. Now that we are halfway through, I think we're definitely more than halfway through. This is not like going to be a 3-6 hour stream. Yeah, the command point cap doesn't apply to abilities like if you use a stratagem on a unit, you get the command point back. I don't think it counts for that. No, I don't think so. I would have to double check. Like, yeah, like the Canoness Rod of Orvis. I would have to double check the words, which I'm not going to do right now. But I think that's fine to get your command points back on. Because it is a refund rather than gaining additional command points. I think. Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if something's like this is 0 command points. That doesn't count as gaining command points either. Yeah, this is where I've got written down. I need to mention that I have a Ko-Fi where you can put money, and then the money keeps me going, and then I get to buy more things and make terrible financial choices. I have threatened a 24-hour stream before. Right, thank you, Ko-Fi. Yes, that's linked in the description. Okay. The Custodes, they have the resistance to devastating wounds back. So now it says, yeah, that whole thing about them just going down to like combi weapons. No, they're not meant to. They have a 4+ feel no pain against that as well. As well as like the actual devastating wounds, mortal wounds and devastating wounds now. Yes. It's going to be weird. If we ever think like, oh, let's go back to a previous edition. Like, let's go back to playing 9th edition. When in 9th edition? Because there's going to be so many different variations of 9th edition. It's like, okay, I want to play 9th edition like it is January 2022. That's what it'll have to be. It's going to be so weird. So weird. So it's like, oh yeah, are the Custodians having this thing or are they not having this thing? Are we using just indexes on release? That's going to be very unbalanced. Which armies are we using? How's it going to go? I think it worked okay in 8th edition, but less so at tournaments apparently. Grey Knights. Their Librarian is up by 10 points, and that was only points change. The Goonhammer stats think that they're doing okay. Kaldor Drago's ability has been clarified to say it only works with units set up by Deep Strike or the teleport that their detachment has. So that's fine. That's okay. There's a few weapons changes as well. So if you look at things like the Dread Knights, they're a bit better. But Dread Knights as a whole, take it or leave it. And they still lack anti-tank as a faction. So yeah, 8th edition right after the Aeldari nerfs, 9th edition for the release of the Eldar Codex. Could do. But then it's like, oh, we'll play this in 9th edition. Are you going to be playing against Chaos Space Marines that only have 1 wound if it's that part of 9th edition? Perhaps. Yeah. What are your thoughts on having some factions having like Calgar, Gilliman, etc. giving +1 command point a turn for existing on the board? But most factions not having characters like that? I think a lot of factions do. I think most factions have someone that does give you a command point. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. Perhaps that's what we'll see for the Genestealer cult. Not an old man on a table, but an old woman sitting in, I don't know, a care home, generating command points for you. Something like that. Or she's on the bus. She is on the cult bus that is firing all of the guns. Yeah, their anti-tank is melee weapons for the Grey Knights, yes. Yes. Yeah, usually the characters cost a lot of points. That's why I'm thinking Junith is usually not worth it. I'll think about it. I'm considering her in the 1,000 points list. I'm going to refine it and be like, okay, let's get some good units and then let's get some good units that work as a whole, as a collective. Yes. Imperial Knights, their code chivalric was changed, so it's reroll 1 dice, not reroll 1 dice that is a 1. So that's a minor thing. Come on, Grandpa, you aren't generating those command points like you used to. Yes. Oh, the Deathwatch did get an update to say, you know, those things that are bolt weapons, they're actually bolt weapons. So the bolt weapon list has been updated and is now correct as far as I can tell. Junith too expensive for 1,000 points because she's 90 points by herself? Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll probably drop her from the 1,000 point list. It was a good thought. It was a thought. You're not going to be too command point hungry as the Sisters of Battle at 1,000 points. Yeah. What if that's what the cult limo does? Just one command point every turn, as long as you spin in a circle while driving it. Mm-hmm. I like that idea. Yeah. Junith is pretty good at 2,000 points because flamers. You put her in a battle sister unit with heavy flamers, flamer, hand flamer, and then you just do Overwatch. That's what she's for. Sit at the back, hold the home objective, fire Overwatch with fire, and generate command points. That'll work. Oh yeah, and works at 1,500 points as well. Paragon Warsuits, yes. Because grenades, because tank shock. If you ever have command points as a battle sister unit, grenades, they work. That's where we can put Inquisitors in our unit, because on a 3+, you get a command point back. So that's where you can be like, grenades every turn. Yes. I use Yvonne 1,000 point Ynnari list and she's 100 points. Well, you'd kind of have to. If you don't have Yvonne, it's not a Ynnari army list. That's the limit. If you don't have Yvonne, it isn't her, it's just a regular Eldar army. And then you couldn't have the Drukhari units in it as well. What to buy instead of 2 combat patrols? For Genestealer Cult, you could get a Ridge Runner. That gives you more vehicles. You could get more Acolyte Hybrids, definitely. Just by themselves. You could look at the characters. You could be like, oh yeah, maybe I'll get some Genestealers, some regular Genestealers in my Genestealer army now that they're much cheaper. And I have some very good ways to run them. Yeah. Greyfax gives a 5+ leadership. Cool, cool. So what do you think of the snob points in Firstborn Marines? Yeah, nothing for their tactical things. Yeah, that's annoying. Primaris infantry units are down. Heavy intercessors, they have a lot of wounds at toughness 6 to defend objectives. They're down in points. Nothing reduced for tactical squads, which sucks. But yes, if you have intercessors, if you have assault intercessors or heavy intercessors, then that's a good thing. But nothing for Admech. Give Gilliman the Eldari keyword now, we're right. It'll just turn out that he is half Eldari all along. And that was like the Eldar, the Emperor's dark secret. He used Eldari technology on him. That was what it was. Heavy intercessors have the same stat lines as Chaos Space Marines. Crazy that they cost so little. Their damage output is way reduced though. That's the thing. I think heavy intercessors will come up more. Maybe because people are not taking the Imperial Fist attachment, which focuses on that kind of armor, the Gravis armor. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Demons, they're going to change some of their battle line units. Oh yeah, it's the demon ally thing, thinking of allies. So demon, when you take allies, take demon allies, demons as allies in your chaos armies, you have to take at least one battle line unit that has the same god keyword. So if you want your Nurglings to just do actions and things, you also need to take plague bearers. That's the change. So that's good. I mean, demons are nice. So world eaters, maybe you want to look towards getting corn demons and have some cheap bloodletters to go with your jackals. That's an idea. You could do that. You could do that. Oh, you like your Inquisitors in your Templars army. That's a pretty good idea. And then you get your anti-psycho stuff as well. Oh, right. No. The heavy intercessors in the Templar armies, the hold objective holders. Yeah, yeah. Keep in mind, Chosen have mostly bolters. A lot of Chosen can have combi weapons though, as long as you're not just going by the models you get. You can have combi weapons and like power swords and stuff. So that works. That works. I would love to see the Deathwatch like the Chosen, because very similar kind of weapons choices, but not as many wounds. So running the Deathwatch models, I've done it once where I run them as the Sword Brethren for the Black Templars, and they worked really well. Very scary Sword Brethren. Yeah. They went up in points as well. They are very slow, so they are just there to stay on objectives. Good night, Martin. I won't be too long. I mean, I hope not to be. We're nearly done. We're nearly done. So many points drops for demons. Yeah. Yes, the Neverborn tide will wash across the galaxy, unless you're like a Nurgling or the Blue Horrors, the things that were taken in other Chaos armies like the Chaos Knights to give them some way of doing things. Hello, Slim Bean. Hello to Australia. I wonder what time it is there. Is it wake up time? Might be wake up time. Yeah. Bolters and power swords. Yes. But they can also have combi weapons in the Chosen. Wow. 8:34 a.m. That isn't early. Oh, I wish I could stream more for you. But I also need to be getting to bed. So, what's my take on the points for the Rise in the Whirlwind? It's good. I think probably good. The Space Marine Whirlwind, it is the Space Marine one. No, Manticore is Imperial Guard. Yeah, Space Marine 1 probably needed the points increased just to stop the amount of indirect fire that was coming out of them early on. Jonathan, hello. Very new to 40k and immediately was drawn to your channel. Oh, I'm glad I could be helpful. Excellent. Yeah, taking demons as allies got like double harder because the ones you were taking as allies, like the Nurglings, they've gone up in points, and you now need to take like a tax of other units. So if you can find a way of making Plague Bearers or something work in your army, then the demons are still good. Yes. You're grinding for more Genestealer cult models. Ah, that is what we'll have to call work. Grinding for money to get more models. Yes, so Imperial Guard. So now when they die, if you're battle shocked when you die, you can't use the reinforcement stratagem to bring back another unit. Yeah. That's a bad nerf for them. So the Incubi and the Patriarch that cause battle shock, they're good. Also, the thing about orders. That, oh yes, the officers that use the orders, you can also use an order when you get out of a vehicle. Does that mean that if you were in a Chimera, you could double cast an order? So if you have like a Castellan who can use one order per turn, you can use the order inside the Chimera, or you can get out and then use the order. I don't think it's intended as if you have a Chimera, you get double the orders. No, I don't think anyone will rule it like that. So just be aware of that possibly coming up. It's not bonus orders, it's just this is the time you can use it instead of in the command phase. You wish the Cult Marines had access to Dark Pacts? Do they not? No, they don't. That's right, they don't. Oh, yeah, that's why I'm thinking, like, I don't use Khorne Berserkers anymore. I use Legionaries with a Mark of Khorne. Yeah. What do we think of 3 Palatines to put in units to maximize lethal hits capabilities? It is a little bit expensive. Another drawback is you can only have 1 Blade of Sentinel. So you're only going to want 1 of them in your army, so I would have 1 Palatine, yes. Lethal hits, pretty good. I would say definitely on like bolt guns, flamers, storm bolters, melter guns even, because the armor penetration. I think it's not a bad idea having 3 Palatines, but I would look to other characters as well. We have a lot of characters to choose from, so Hospitaller can work. Canoness isn't too bad. Full rerolls to hit, that's quite nice. And also then you've got like characters like Junith, so swapping 2 Palatines for Junith, maybe that can work. Also similar kind of cost is Inquisitors, where you can get free grenade stratagems to just do mortal wounds, never mind lethal hits. Then it's, you know, get the command point back on a 3+. So I would say 1 Palatine good, more Palatines, you're getting diminished returns at that point. Then you've also got to figure out which units you put them with. Novitiates work well, Battle Sisters work well, Dominions work well. That's it. That's where they go. So you could try 1 of each. Then you're getting full rerolls to hit as you put your Palatine with the Novitiates. You've got a lot of shots from the Battle Sisters. That's pretty good. And you've got your weapons that are pretty good. You've got Scout and you've got Flamers. Don't need Flamers. Not Flamers. If you've got no Flamers on your Dominions, that's where you're going to want your Palatine. Then your Bolt Guns get lethal hits. Your Melter Guns get lethal hits. Your Storm Bolters get lethal hits. Damage 2. Not bad. Especially against units like Genestealers. Regular Genestealers. 5+ save. 2 wounds. That goes down to Storm Bolters. Yeah. Right, last thing. Agents of the Imperium. You can now have an army entirely made up of Agents of the Imperium, and it says you skip the bit where you select a detachment. So it's not a, you get to that stop, you get to like that point, and then you're like, oh, I can't field an army anymore. Let me just check the app. See if you can have a 1. Is it going to let me do it? No, max out on armies. But you can just make an army entirely of Imperial agents. Okay. Okay. I think I've been going on long enough now. So good morning to Australia. Good night to everyone else. I have now gone through all of the changes that have happened between the 5 or 6 different documents that Games Workshop has released. So that's all in videos, that's in the live stream, that's all done. I'll work on the 1000 points Battle Sisters advice and the Big Gene Stealer Cult video next. I hope you've had a good time. I hope to chat to you later. Have a wonderful day, night. My darlings and viewers, have a great day of 40k.